All right, got a crash over on the East Loop downtown going westbound. This is going to be right after Shelby Avenue. Another one reported by police, 40 westbound approaching Fessler's Lane. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. Fancy meeting you here. It is just after 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You probably knew what radio station you're listening to, and I hope you know which host you're listening to. My name is Matt Murphy. Conveniently, this is called the Matt Murphy Radio Show, and for the next 4 hours, we hope to entertain you, enlighten you, and maybe educate you about a few things. And I hope you join in. 615-737-9986 is the telephone number, always available to you. I mean, at least during my portion of the day, I love talking with you. It's my favorite thing to do during the day. And I hope you just pick up the telephone and give us a call. 615-737-9986. But I have to give you a reason to do that, and that, hence, is the subject matter of the show today. And hopefully you pick up on that and roll with it. You can also hit us up on the Super Text line, 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. There are other ways to communicate with the broadcast. I mean, of course, at Matt Murphy Show on the X machine. I am much angrier, meaner, and less sane on the X machine.
Inconceivable.
I mean, well, it's true. It's a big deal. So go over there and find me and like us. I hope that before 20, and I'm not begging, well, maybe a little, but I'm hoping before 2025 is done that I'll have 20,000 followers on the X machine. And I got like a little over $2,000 to go.
That's pretty good, Brother Murphy.
I mean, I think that's fair, right?
Yeah.
That's a fair goal.
It's achievable.
Yes, sir.
I feel like that. Maybe I can hit Matt Gaetz up to give me an old shout out on the Twitter machine. He's going to be on the show with us at 3:35. Do y'all know that?
All right.
We'll see how the interview goes.
Damn it. I was going to go out. Now I got to be nice. That ruins things. Hold on. Chris Weber's behind the glass. Hey, Chris.
Hello.
All right, get out of the way. Ken Weaver's back, everybody.
Yeah.
What is up, Weaves?
Yeah, glad to be back.
You sound excited.
You look like you were having a terrible time.
Yeah, I was. It was awful hanging out in the forest with, no traffic.
God's creatures out there.
God's creatures. Let me tell you something, boys. I could live in northern Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
I could live there.
Where were you?
Ella J.
Ella J's fabulous. Absolutely fabulous.
Yeah. I was telling Brother Chris, I was looking for breweries to go to.
Uh-huh.
And a little town popped up, Talking Rock.
Talking Rock. Uh-huh.
And we, Jennifer and I, hopped in the car, drove over there. Just so happens there was a Bronco Truck Festival.
Ooh.
The second annual Bronco Truck Festival in Talking Rock, Georgia, where everybody from around the region brought their Bronco truck to everybody take a look at.
Huh.
Nice.
Judged them and everything.
Oh, Bronco trucks of all shapes and sizes, I bet.
Yeah, had real ice-cold beer and cigars they were selling.
Yeah, I bet they. And you drink enough beer that The Rock started talking to you? I know I would.
That's where it gets its name.
I even danced with one.
Did
A beer or a rock?
A rock.
or both.
Yeah.
And that is such. I mean, it when I think of Georgia, it reminds me now of Tennessee and vice versa because there's so many areas that they just share similar topography or whatever. Those mountains up there in North Georgia, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, the biggest trees. I mean, I've seen some big trees in Northern California.
Yeah.
And Oregon, but these trees there in Northern Georgia, man, these things are massive.
Mm-hmm.
Big old pine trees.
Yeah, those pines. That's where you get the heart of pine from, right? Get them big enough where you can't get heart of pine anymore.
Yeah.
You know what heart of pine is, Wheeler?
I do not.
Yeah. It is, pine trees are known as a soft wood. Save the jokes for the morning show. Let the morning show handle that.
Wow.
Okay.
Throwing grenades early.
Like it's 4 minutes in, and there we go. Oh, pine is known as and I know that some arborist in the listening audience is going to correct me on this, but if pine trees grow to a certain size, the inner the inside on the real inside of the pine tree is what is the harder wood of the pine. It's called hard pine. And you can't put if you've ever lived in a house that was made of hard pine or heart of pine, you can't get a tack in that thing, man.
Yeah,
I mean it's a harder
kind of petrifies almost.
I mean I don't know if that's the process or what, but that's certainly my experience. But they have to grow real big, and the knock in Georgia and probably elsewhere in the southeast on pine trees is that they don't let them grow that big because pine is used for pulpwood.
Yep.
And there you go.
Toilet paper and paper products of all kinds.
Of all shapes and sizes.
Yep.
But you had good times?
Had a great time, and
good.
we're looking at going back for Thanksgiving.
Oh, man.
Be lovely.
So we're all invited.
Yeah.
I'll bring the stuffing.
Well, I don't know about that, boys.
Pumpkin pie, Ken. Pumpkin pie.
Had a big old river running behind the cabin that I could fish in. I didn't catch any fish, but I fished.
No, it's all good. You know what that is? And I was going to monologue about this today at the beginning of the show because I think it's important. And, Ken, you just experienced about a week of it. Chris Webber knows exactly what we're talking about when I bring this up. And I hope that many of you do, too. I had a great time at the Glock store Saturday from 10 until 2. Had a fabulous time. It was jam-packed. And we had fun, and if you came by and said hello, I hope you said hello to me, and I hope I was nice to you. I think I was. If you didn't get a chance to say hello to me, I was there. I don't know what you were waiting on. I was there for the full 4 hours. But had a great Saturday. Sunday, because I got 3 weeks till this surgery, right? So I got to get all of this in. I got to make my list of pre-operation things to do. And one of the things, I got to ride my motorcycle as much as I possibly can. Did I say on Friday what he told me? It was a year.
A year
without motorcycle.
Ooh.
He said it's the jiggling,
vibration,
it's the vibration, and that's the struggle. So a year without the bike.
Wow.
So that's a big time bummer. And I'm I'm already thinking, well, when he says a year, he means 6 months. I mean, right?
Just cut it in half.
He means a week.
I mean, whatever. They don't. Well, they told me that I had to be off work for 2 weeks, Weaver, and I'm like, what? No. I said, I don't lift rocks for a living. What are you talking about? I'm yapping on the radio.
Yeah.
And I said, no, you need to be off for 2 weeks. And so I turned it in to management that I'd be off for a week and I work from home for a week.
Maybe it's the medication, Brother Murphy.
Well, I'm fine with going on the radio on medication.
Be fun.
I think everybody else is going to be fine with it, too.
That could be very interesting.
I can assure you of this. What is it? Surgery on the 23rd, that Monday. So it'd be that. You want to tune in to the June 30th edition of the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk.
Could be interesting.
Because I assure you that I will be here if at all able. And I assure you, if I'm here, I will be on drugs. So I don't know what happens after that.
And there's nothing they can do about it.
And there's nothing they can do about it. But what are they going to do? I mean, well, I guess they could technically do a lot of things about it, but they don't listen.
That might be a good day to have Mayor O'Connell on.
Might be. Actually, for Mayor O'Connell's sake. I'm supposed to have coffee with the mayor Thursday morning.
All right.
We set that up just before all this ice crap broke. Or right around the time that it broke. How y'all? What are the betting odds on whether that happens? Hey, if it's up to me, it'll happen.
Right.
So I'll keep you abreast and apprised. They have yet to tell me where to go meet the mayor for coffee.
Oh.
So perhaps they're holding that information a little close to the vest. I don't know. But here's my message, though. So yesterday I got out on the bike and rode around, and I went up north, and I was kind of generally speaking heading toward Cookville. I never get to Cookville for some reason when I try to head toward Cookville. It's a fur piece, as my grandpa used to say. Yeah. But then I eventually made my way, and somehow, have no idea how this happened, ended up in Murfreesboro. Because I started going south, and I kept taking lefts, and eventually I ended up in Murfreesboro. And so went in Murfreesboro, go to Jack Brown's in the square,
down on the square, yes,
and have some beers,
yes,
which is what I did, and a burger, and so I'm driving back, and It's about 5:30, 5:45. And I've been listening to music, and we're off-roading it, right? So we're going at the 2 lanes, and just if you see something that strikes your fancy, just turn, and you can always pull over and figure it out with your GPS, your map.
Yeah.
And I am driving across some of the most beautiful countryside, and I've been listening to music, and I turned over because I knew the race was coming on at the Nashville Superspeedway, or on Sirius XM. I turned over to Sirius XM, and I heard 2 things. One of which I'm going to talk about a little later. The first thing I heard were the announcers of the NASCAR race talking about Nashville and how it was sold out yesterday, and and I'm paraphrasing what they said, but not by much, what idiots the city of Nashville were for not signing the fairgrounds deal. No, they were talking about this. They were like, how in the world do you not sign this deal to get us back downtown into the city? Do you know how big this would be, how huge it will be? We're selling out here in Lebanon. No offense to Lebanon, but man, oh man, it would be even bigger if it were downtown. And what morons run that city was basically the sentiment they were talking about on Sirius XM and the NASCAR broadcast. So that was the first thing. But then as I'm driving, over the hills and valleys of the state of Tennessee, and it truly is, for me, wind therapy. I mean, and anybody that's ridden a bike or for some people it's boats, for some people it's being on the water, for some people it's being in the water, for some people it's being on the beach. Whatever your wind therapy is, it doesn't have to be on a motorcycle. But I encourage you to embrace that, because I'm driving across the state, and no matter what's going on this radio show, in our lives, it ain't that bad, because we got it pretty good, y'all. We have it pretty good. And I don't know that it sells any tickets to this radio show for me to remind you that on a regular basis, but I'm going to remind you that on a regular basis. Because as angry as I get about politics, and as frustrated as O'Connell and others might make you, me, and everybody else, as bad a direction as we might think the country's going in, or good a direction as you might think the country's going in, it all pales to God and family and country. And so I'm thinking about these things, and I'm letting it soak in, and the sun's slowly going down. I got about another hour of sunlight or so, and it's approaching 6 o'clock. And on the broadcast for the NASCAR race, the lady starts singing the Star Spangled Banner. And I just cannot express to you how emotional that was for me. Just because I love the United States of America. I love our country. I love our country's people. And if you have the opportunity to let all of this other garbage, and most of the time it's what it is, this garbage fade away, and remind yourself how blessed we are to live here, how blessed we are to be here, how blessed we are to have the family and the circle of friends. And if you don't have family or friends in your life, give me a call and I'll be one. Just embrace the good and understand how wonderful it is we have it. We don't remind you that enough. And I want to make a point to remind you of that, because it's true. And just enjoy that wind therapy, whatever that is for you, to help you let all of the nastiness and nonsense of the day fade away, and just embrace the wonderful life that we have in the United States of America and in the great state of Tennessee. That's my little
well said.
That's my little statement.
Very nice.
Because it was, I mean, man, oh man, it was just a moment. It might have been the beers. I don't know. I had a man, Ken, you need to get over. Have you been to Jack Brown's lately? They got well. I mean, I looked on the.
I was there about a month ago.
I looked on going toward the bathrooms. They've got these big sheets. It's a scam. Is what they're doing. They got one of these big. It's like called the 100 Club or whatever.
Yeah. You drink 100 beers there, and you get some sort of
award, and then you rate them. You have to rate them. Like, this one was good, this one wasn't good, or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, well, and on the bottom of the sheet it said, "This is not a drinking contest. Max 4 beers per sitting," or something. Like, well, it sure as hell looks like a drinking contest.
That's what I'd say.
I had me a bright green beer. It was bright green. And it's naturally bright green. It was a sour. It was tasty and delicious. I'm a fan of the sours. Oh, you got it. Not for you, Weber?
I don't like the sours.
What about you, Ken?
I'll do a sour.
Oh, yeah, I loved it.
I'll do a sour. I'll drink them all.
You know what I normally say when I'm in a place like that? What do you have local that's not an IPA? That's my standard line. Yeah. Because I'm not that. I just can't. It's just too much.
Those IPAs will get you, man.
Woo.
They'll get you.
I mean, now, if they come back at me and say, well, all we have are IPAs, you know what I say? Well, give me an IPA.
Well, give me an IPA then.
I mean, IPA is better than nothing.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Well, so that was our weekend. What you do anything for the weekend there, Weber? I mean, Weaver talked about Georgia. Would you any fun?
I didn't do nothing. I stayed at home.
Oh, so that was a great weekend for you too.
Pretty good.
That's nice. Well, that's our weekend. How was yours? 615-737-9986. Hey, coming up at 3:35, I kind of buried the lead here. Former Congressman, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz is coming to town. I literally cannot tell you where.
They didn't tell you?
No, they didn't. And that is on purpose. Apparently, there are suggestions of protest. All I know is he's coming to Lebanon, and he's going to be in town on the 7th of June. And I've got a link that's going up that will tell you everything else you need to know about the procedure. But he is in town, and he is speaking to that. He is in town, what is that, Saturday, the 7th of June from 4 until 6 o'clock. Doors open at 3:30. Location to be announced in Lebanon, Tennessee. All ages are welcome. So that's good. Says, join us for a high-energy evening with Matt Gaetz, the outspoken America First leader who defended President Trump in 3 impeachments and fought for bold conservative reforms. No longer in Congress, we'll ask him how life has been since Congress and a lot of other things. If you have any questions for old Matt, hit us up, 615-737-9986. Just getting underway on this Monday edition. Obviously, we're going to update you on the Colorado attack, the Boulder, Colorado attack. I know we've been talking about that all day long on the radio station. We will talk about Ukraine and Russia. We've been discussing that. CNN has decided that climate change, they're going to go again on the whole climate change doomsday story. I'll have a story on that. And, of course, we continue to update you on the aftermath of Freddie O'Connell and his pushback against ICE and the Tennessee Highway Patrol. It's all on the way. It's the Matt Murphy Show. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Always love checking in with Tony Spain of Cabinet Solutions, particularly now because Tony and I are going to see each other in a couple of weeks on the golf course. But before then, he's got plenty of cabinets to install from My Cabinet Solutions. Hey, Tony, how are you?
Hey, Matt, it's not Tony.
Whoa!
It's Dan Mandis. Tony's actually sitting on my couch right now. They've installed my new cabinets and my countertop in my bathroom here at the house, and I just wanted to tell you how great they look. I sent you a picture, Matt, if you want to check out my new cabinets from Cabinet Solutions in my bathroom. You can check that out. I also posted them to my Facebook page. Crew came out, did a great job, on time, cleaned up, and Amy picked out all the pretty colors and the handles and all the cool stuff, and it looks really good.
It looks fabulous. I'm looking at these photos right now. My first inclination, Dan, is to say, man, these are fancy. They pay the morning show a lot more than the afternoon show. But here's the thing. I know Tony and and I know that this probably was very inexpensive in terms of how he does his business, right?
It was very inexpensive. The thing that I like about Tony and Cabinet Solutions and all the folks there is they helped us pick out all kinds of, whether we're talking about the hardware, whether they're talking about the actual cabinets. They've got, cabinets for every single budget. They made it really easy as well. And again, from the picking out of the stuff to the actual install, everything in between, just a great experience.
Well, there's such a wonderful group of folks. All you have to do is go to My Cabinet Solution, no S on solution, My Cabinet Solution online, and fill out a little form there, Tony. It goes right to him, and he will be right to you. And just like Dan Mandis, you can have brand new cabinets in the bathroom, in the bedroom, in your dressing area, your closets from My Cabinet Solution. Thank you, Dan. Tell Tony I said the same.
Will do. See you later.
All right. Hey, friends, Matt Murphy here for Safe House. You know, you need to protect yourself and your family. It's a dangerous world. We don't try to scare you, but there's crime all over. And, you know, from fear of fire alone, you should protect, the valuables, sentimental and otherwise, the important paperwork with a safe. And the only place to get your safe is from Nashville Safe House. Mark and his team have a lot of fun over at Nashville Safe House. You can tell in the many spots that they do. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have co-owned the Salesperson of the Year award for the last several years running. I'm trying to grab that from them and take the mantle and run with it in 2025. Let's see how that goes. But the bottom line is this. If you're looking for a safe of any shape or size, of any brand type, of any fire rating, of any price point, they can do it at Nashville Safe House. They're conveniently located on 4th Avenue South. They have more safes than any other place, I would suggest, in the United States of America. I've not been to every safe company in the United States, but I can't imagine that people have almost 600 safes in stock like Mark and Nashville Safe House does. Go to NashvilleSafeHouse.com and you can see some of those for yourself. Once again, of all shapes and sizes. Remember, gun safes are always sales tax free at Nashville Safe House, and they're there for you. 4th Avenue South, across from City Cemetery. Tell Mark and his team that Matt Murphy sent you to the Nashville Safe House.
Wait till you hear what a doorbell camera captured outside a Nashville Airbnb last night. That story and more at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's a critter. I guarantee it's. I've not heard the story, so I'm not spoiling anything, but it's got to be a critter. I mean, we got the poor bear got killed.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I feel bad about that. Is that the same bear that they saw a couple weeks ago? Is that what they think?
Yeah.
It was like a little one.
Yeah, it's, relatively speaking, 190 pounds.
If I start guessing on the type of whatever outside of the doorbell camera, I might get it right, and I don't want to spoil that for anybody. But does this have any relationship to gum?
No.
Okay, so it's not a zebra?
No.
Okay. Well, they had the zebra. Did they find the zebra, Ken?
Now, the zebra's still running around out there.
Huh.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, zebra's just a donkey with a better personality, right?
Actually,
Party donkey?
No, zebras.
Party donkey? No?
They'll get you.
What do you mean they'll get you?
They'll get you if you're not careful, man. They're very skittish, and they protect themselves, kind of like a donkey will.
Hey, y'all, later on in the show, Ken is going to regale us of the number of times that zebras almost got him.
They get me every Saturday in the fall, I'll tell you that.
Oh, wow. I like what you did there. We're fine with it. Hey, here's the big question is, are they black with white stripes or white with black stripes?
Ooh, that's a good question. That's a trick question.
I have not had any beer, but not near enough to answer that question.
I'm going to try to find out the answer to that while Ken does the real news. Tom, we'll get to you on the shoulder question or the shoulder surgery question out of Mississippi, but we have to do that after Matt Gaetz. So hang in. Former Congressman Matt Gaetz coming up next. It's the bottom of the hour, 3:30 on Super Talk.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Well, the man arrested in connection to this weekend's deadly shooting in Columbia has been identified as Byron Childers, according to News 2, who says 2 people died and 1 person was injured there. Police haven't said what the motive was, but Childers is being held without bond. Metro Police investigating after 1 person was injured in a shooting outside an Airbnb in Cumberland Heights overnight. Here's Channel 4's Dryden Quigley.
Neighbors up and down the street all say they woke up to gunshots around 5 this morning. One of them even captured it on their security camera. That was was just part of the nearly 24 gunshots neighbors on Fern Avenue said they heard. Moments later, you could see a man and woman heading through a backyard with the man holding what appears to be a pistol.
No arrests yet. New developments in the case of the flamethrower attack in Boulder, Colorado. The suspect accused of setting 8 people on fire at what was a weekly vigil for the release of hostages held by Hamas in Gaza. That man now charged with a federal hate crime, says Alex Stone.
We know from these court documents that they now allege, prosecutors allege, that he had pre-planned this for over a year, even waiting for his daughter to graduate before he came here about 2 hours from Colorado Springs to Boulder, buying gas on his way here, planning this out, Googling an event, a pro-Israeli event, finding this one here in Boulder, and saying he was waiting to kill his victims, that he specifically wanted to kill them.
Federal authorities say 45-year-old Mohammed Solomon is in the U.S. illegally. He had a tourist visa that expired in 2023. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Over on the East Loop downtown, going westbound. Got a crash right after Shelby Avenue. Looks like police just reporting one now, Briley Parkway northbound at I-24 South. And over on the south side, 40 westbound approaching Fressler's Lane. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center has been here for many, many years. So many, in fact, that Dr. Stephen Poss is stepping down. A little later on this year, he is officially retiring, but never you fear. Dr. Brian McLaughlin was hand-selected over a year ago by Dr. Stephen Poss with the same level of expertise as Dr. Poss that he's brought to the table for so many years now, and he will help you sleep better, will Dr. McLaughlin, with a FDA-approved device from the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. The bottom line is this. You want to sleep well. You want to make sure that you're doing everything for your health that you possibly can. And those two things are impacted considerably with sleep apnea. If you fear that you have sleep apnea or already know, get with Dr. Brian McLaughlin. Talk to him about a device, fits in your mouth, keeps the airway open. I use this on a nightly basis. Absolutely love this thing. It helps me sleep better. It can help you sleep better, give you better energy levels. It is the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. Find them at TennesseeSleep.com. They're in network for most insurance. They're in 2 locations, Murfreesboro and Brentwood. So within the sound of my voice, you can get to them with ease. TennesseeSleep.com. That's TennesseeSleep.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hi, my name is Matt Murphy. And this is the Matt Murphy Show. It's 38 after the hour. Happy Monday to you. Hope you're well. We are told that Congressman Matt Gaetz, or former Congressman Matt Gaetz, is calling the show. And if he doesn't, then we're just going to continue on like nothing ever happened, I guess.
I can tell you how dangerous zebras are.
You can. We got shoulder surgery conversation, zebra talk. And if he's listening to the show right now, that's probably why he's not calling. But that's okay, too. Ken, I have it on good authority.
Yes, sir.
That zebras are, see, here's the thing. I thought I had it on good authority, and then I look over, and I no longer have it on good authority. Because several people said that zebras are black with white stripes.
Oh.
Not a question, done deal, not even a moment to consider it. And then the last super text I got was from 4359. It said, zebras are white with black stripes. That seems to be contrary to the first several that.
We're getting nowhere.
I was going to say we're getting somewhere fast. And then Kathy, right? I think I can quote Kathy here. I think this is a technical quote.
All right.
All right, you want me to quote Kathy? I'm quoting someone here. Y'all ready?
Yes, sir.
Matt, zebras are bastards. Signed, Kathy.
She sounds like she's had some experience with the zebra.
Well, so, Ken, you and I think a lot. We think very different in some ways and a lot similar in some ways. Because my first, well, Kathy, you want to go ahead and tell us all about that, or what? I mean, because Kathy seems like she knows. Now, Ken, what has been your experience with zebras that would suggest to you that zebras are not very friendly animals?
Well, I've watched them on YouTube.
Oh, have you now?
And apparently the male zebras, they don't like little baby boy zebras. And they will kill a little boy baby zebra.
Oh, no.
Now, that's just kind of nature. I mean, bears do the same thing. Heck, probably catfish too. But
territorial.
Territorial, yeah. I mean, they want the ladies for themselves. They don't want any young up-and-comers.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, if men were left to our own devices, we'd probably do the same thing.
Possibly so.
You know?
But anyway, I asked the question to AI. Is zebra dangerous to humans? Yes, zebras can be dangerous to humans. They are wild animals and have been known to bite and kick, sometimes causing serious injuries or even death.
Well, it really depends on what humans you're talking about. I mean, with the right humans, a sofa cushion could be dangerous.
Well, now that's true. That's true. They have a very strong bite.
I feel like that we don't treat them necessarily as the wild animals that there are because they look so dadgum friendly.
Right.
I mean, they look like, like a party donkey.
Right.
I don't think I've ever considered them to be party donkeys, but okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, right? If a donkey goes down to Lower Broad on a Saturday night, when that donkey goes home, it's going to look like a zebra.
Possibly.
I never thought about the idea of zebras just being mean-spirited, but maybe they are.
Yeah, I mean, they kick, and apparently I read where their hooves are like razor sharp.
Ooh.
And they'll use those hooves on you if you're not careful.
Well, I mean, they do. They live in some of the more danger. I mean,
they're constantly under threat
of destruction, right? So I almost said something, and I have to be careful. I'm trying to be better. I'm only 51 years old, and I'm just starting this new experiment.
Yes,
be
sir.
better not to pretend that you know about crap that you don't really know about. So zebras, it's Africa, right?
Yes.
I mean,
That's what I've been told.
That's it.
I've never been, but yeah.
I mean, but I don't think they're anywhere else. Naturally.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Naturally.
Get this.
Okay.
Why can't you hand feed zebras?
They'll eat the hand.
Because they are grazers. They don't bite down and instantly release. They bite and pull.
Oh, yeah. They bite the hand that feeds them.
Yes, sir.
That's
So do not hand feed the zebras.
Ask this AI machine over there, Ken.
Okay.
Ask the AI if zebras are selfish.
Okay.
Because I happen to know
Zebras.
giraffes are selfish.
Oh, yeah?
How do you know?
Oh, yeah. Giraffes are selfish. Always looking out for number one.
They think there's
That's about all they can see up there.
No, they were giraffes.
I think they're really something because they're tall.
That's my favorite Andy Griffith episode. My favorite one is when, if y'all have never seen it, it's when Opie takes up with a stray dog, and the stray dog's got a little pack of other dogs, and I'll forget some of the details, but a thunderstorm comes up, and Opie's worried about the little stray dog.
Yeah.
And the dogs because they're in the thunderstorm, and Barney starts off trying to convince him that the dogs are, oh, no, dogs are fine. They're going to look after them.
Come on,
They're going to
no.
look after, they're going to look after one another. They'll shelter together. They're fine. They take care of themselves. Now, they're not like giraffes. Giraffes are selfish. Always looking out for number one. He's just talking and talking. And then there's a big clap of thunder, and he looks at Andy and says, well, you going to sit there or not? Or what? And he goes, what? He said, let's go get them dogs. So they bring him back to the jail.
Well, I have an answer to your question.
All right.
While zebras exhibit a range of behaviors, including cooperative ones within their herds, it's not accurate to say they are inherently selfish. Their social structure and behaviors are primarily driven by survival and reproductive needs. We know about that, don't we, boys?
Well,
With both individual and group benefits intertwined. Group benefits?
What? Hey, Glock, tell me more about that group benefit.
I tell you what, there's some horses down there in Rutherford County. Better look out.
I guess so. So the giraffe was stop it. The zebra was located in Murfreesboro?
Yeah.
Murfreesboro zebra.
Yeah, right.
Do we know where the zebra was from?
I don't know. I haven't seen that.
Like just a
look this
little
up.
home-owned zebra?
Yeah, let's see. Who owns that zebra down in Rutherford County?
I don't believe it was a public zebra.
Who owns the zebra in Rutherford County?
I really hate to interrupt this tittillating conversation to get to Matt Gaetz, but I think Matt Gaetz is on the line.
Yeah, we better get to the point.
I suppose. Well, no, I'm very interested in the zebra conversation, frankly.
Okay, so apparently a family owns the zebra, and they're still looking for the animal as of 4 hours ago.
Uh-huh. All right. Well,
Somebody bought him a zebra, and it got out.
I assume it's legal to own zebras in Tennessee. I assume that's dangerous.
We're going to find out.
Well, that's a good point. On that happy note, let's turn our attention to the Murphy Show hotline, where former Congressman Matt Gaetz is with us, promoting an event. The Reagan folks are hosting an event in Lebanon, Tennessee that's happening on Saturday, June 7th, and Matt will be there from 4 until 6 o'clock. VIP tickets available for you, and I'll give you all of the details in just a moment about that. It's good to speak with you. Hello, Matt. How are you?
I am great. We are in the golden age of America, and I'm pretty excited about the direction the country's heading in. I'm excited to be heading to Lebanon, Tennessee on the 7th of June, and we're going to have a good time talking about how everybody can participate in hopefully the improving conditions of the country, a secure border, safe streets, and hopefully an agenda for President Trump that'll make its way through the Congress.
Well, obviously, so many folks in Middle Tennessee, as red as we are, with the few blue spot exceptions. I've been talking all over the country this week about how Nashville is not representative of the rest of the state, considering our silly mayor over here. But how wonderful the state of Tennessee will receive you, with maybe a few protest exceptions. But I know the Reagan Society is excited to have you. I'm curious how excited you are to see the first several months of the second Trump term, and is there any regrets on your part not being in the House of Representatives, or you've kind of sailed on from that part of your life?
Well, there is an end to every sentence. I mean, even the zebra got to escape.
That's good.
I was in Congress for 8 years, and that's about the right amount of time. I think there are some folks who are there for 20, 30, 40 years, and I think even with people with the best of intentions, if you stay in that town too long, you catch a dose of the Potomac fever. And what's interesting about the Trump movement and the MAGA movement is that it's very vertically integrated. I mean, we've got people from the school board level to the mayoral level, to Congress, to the Senate, to the vice president we have, who's excellent, really making sure that this is a movement built to last. And, you do have a few stars in Tennessee, and folks like Andy Ogles and Tim Burchett and Marsha Blackburn and Bill Haggerty. You got really some of the best. But you've got this mayor in Nashville who seems to want to invite like every illegal alien to the Music City. I thought it was wild enough just having every bachelorette party in America in Nashville, but now like they're inviting the third world, and we'll probably point out why that's a bad idea and why all good folks from the volunteer state should be on our side for sanity.
Well, no, it's not going to. Much like many of those bachelorette parties, it's not going to end well, Matt. I promise you. And Mayor Freddie can yap all he wants about it, but now that he has attempted to dox ICE folks, we're on top of that story, and we're going to get to the bottom of it and see what he did and what he knew and when he knew it. So hopefully,
isn't this a crazy moment we're in where like? It used to be that Democrats and Republicans both wanted a secure border.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a difference of opinion on did you want a wall or a fence or drones or whatever. Now we're literally to the point where you have local officials trying to terrorize people who have signed up to keep our community safe. That is the level of distortion they have. And I feel like we haven't really changed a lot on our side. We'd like the border to be secure. We'd like to back the people in law enforcement who are trying to improve quality of life in the communities where we live. And they have just gone like totally crazy on us.
Yeah, no. And Matt Gaetz, our guest, former Florida congressman, he's coming to the Reagan Society dinner in Lebanon in just a couple of weeks, and we'll tell you more about that in a second. Matt, I've said this about Doge. It occurs to me, I've been doing this 25 years, and I, have Democrats on. I'll invite anybody on that's willing to talk to me, and I try to find a place of common belief, and then we can branch off from there. And it was always a place for me to go with liberals. Well, we all agree that we want to cut waste and fraud and abuse, right? And they'd say, oh, of course, yeah, waste, fraud, and abuse, we need to cut that down, we need to cut that out. You know what? If anything else, what Elon Musk and the Doge team has taught us, they've been lying for the entire time. They have no interest in cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. They just want to spend, and increase their power and, by extension, their corruption.
Yeah, and it's not like Elon was cutting to the quick.
Right.
Is it a controversial position here that if there's going to be a gay pride festival in Prague, that maybe the people of Prague should pay for it, not the U.S. taxpayer,
Amen.
While we're on a path to $50 trillion in debt? Like, if people in Peru want transsexual comic books, don't you think they should pay for them rather than some poor schmuck in Indiana who's, like, trying to save up for his kid's college education? I just think that it was pretty basic. And the way they reacted, Elon used to be their knight in shining armor. They used to love Elon when he was sending people to space and building cars. And now they were ready to burn him in effigy because he thought that people at the Department of Education should have to explain what they did at work last week.
Matt, if you were still in Congress, big if, I mean, I understand that you probably get it a lot, but I do have to ask, would you have been, Elon said, mentioning him, that, I think the bill can be big. I think it can be beautiful. I don't think it can be both. I'm hopeful that now it's in the hands of the Senate, that it will continue. We'll see more cuts and will reduce the size of the deficit. I'm very frustrated with the bill as it exists. Do you think you would have been a no on this, or would you have allowed it to slide over to the Senate like it did?
I don't blame anyone who voted for this bill, given how bad President Trump wanted the policy features of it. I told my wife this morning, I think I would have had a real hard time voting for these spending levels under any conditions, because there were choices that could have been made to move a lot of these programs to state enforcement and state optimization, and you could have saved a lot of money without reducing benefits for people. Like, if you told California that the federal government wasn't going to pay for them to put illegal aliens on Medicaid anymore, then you would not have had to decrease Medicaid benefits in a lot of places while still giving the states more ownership of those programs. And the lack of courage there, I think, is pretty persistent in among Republicans on Capitol Hill. Again, you've got some of the very best, like Tim Burchett, like Andy Ogles, Harshbarger, Green. They were doing everything they could to have less spending in the bill. But I think that if we get every other problem in our country under control, and we still go to $50 trillion in debt over the next 10 years, we'll probably still lose the country.
Yep.
And so somebody still has to care about spending levels, It can't just be about policies to spur growth. We actually have to, like, here's one that's not popular. And you know what? I can say this now because I am a former congressman. Why do we allow people to eat their way onto disability? Okay, like, we are paying for people to get Uber Eats delivered to them who are then becoming so obese that they claim that they're too large to go to work.
Preach it, brother. Preach it.
That is insane. That is just insane.
No, you're exactly right. And this is the best shot we've got. I've made a lot of declarations over my years of doing this, but I've declared if we can't see substantial cuts into the deficit and at least show me the path to a balanced budget. I don't need it this year. I don't even need it next year. Just show me the path to the balanced budget. If we can't find that with all of the attention being paid to it now, I don't know what to do with it. I don't want to talk about it anymore because it's just a fool's errand at that point.
Yeah, but we have to start making preparations in our life for what the world looks like if this country has to endure rapid austerity because the dollar loses its status as the global reserve currency. Because there actually are people we care about and want to take care of. Veterans, senior citizens, the vulnerable, the disabled. But like when you've got somebody who's 27 years old playing Grand Theft Auto and picking up a few DoorDash gigs and expecting the rest of us to pay for their health care along with our own, it's just not a sustainable model into the future.
You'll hear more of this at the Reagan Society dinner. It happens from 4 until 6. It is June 7th. All you need to do is go to Eventbrite, and I'm going to fill in all of those details when I don't have Matt on the phone because I don't want to waste his time with that. But we'll give you all of the details where you get tickets. Tickets are very cost-effective, a little bit more money, and you get to meet the man himself, Matt Gaetz. One final thing I got to do with you before you go, Matt. I'm doing this out of love for you. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, say Lebanon.
Lebanon.
That's the way they say it. There you go. A bunch of our friends over in Lebanon said, "Hey, tell Matt how to say it." So Lebanon.
Oh no, I'm glad because I would not have known that.
No. They shamed me for 6 months when I first came to Tennessee because I pronounced it Lebanon, and they're like, "Who is this fella?" I mean, this is a.
Oh no.
So,
no. Well, I mean, it wasn't Tennessee like the original state that set up the carpetbagger nomenclature.
There you go.
I would sound like a carpetbagger.
Yeah, and even though you're from Florida, you're still a carpetbagger.
I am a Florida man.
Matt. God bless you, brother. Thank you for coming to the state. Let's do this again very soon. All the success in the world on OAN. You know you're a rock star over there, and we love watching you.
All right. Thanks so much. Have a great day, guys.
All right, brother. Take care. There's former Congressman Matt Gaetz joining us on the Matt Murphy Show on Super. I helped him out there, Lebanon.
Yeah, he should be thanking you there.
I mean, because there was,
I would not have taken too
I
kindly
wasn't trying to shame him, but, I mean, there was a Lebanon. I heard it right at the beginning, right?
Oh, they'll get you.
Oh, they already got him. You should see the super text line, Ken. They're popping him all over the place. They tell him how to pronounce Lebanon. Look, I learned pretty quick. It's not Maury County either. Oh, I got in trouble for that one.
And it's not Demon Brewing.
That's right.
I don't know how you say it, but it ain't right like that.
It ain't that. That's right. I know how to say this. It's time for a break on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, friends, hot. I told you this was coming, right? I told you that the 80-degree temperatures would be here, and then the 90 degrees would be here, and then it's hot, and then the AC's running all the time, and then the AC goes, and then what do you do? What do you do? Do you know what? If you're listening to me, you'll call the number from Efficient Heating and Cooling, and Jeff Eddy will come out, and he'll take care of anything and everything that ails your system. He's never going to try to upsell you on a system that doesn't need it. And here's the stark reality. A lot of AC companies, they make more money by putting in a new unit, and it's, they don't have to deal with the issues that go into repairing a unit, meaning that they put in a new unit and everything's all well and good. With Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling, he understands that you're a baller on a budget. He understands that sometimes, this is $4,000 or $5,000 in some cases. And so you want to maximize the life out of that AC unit that you have. That's what he's going to do for you. He does it through his maintenance plan. He does it through the maintenance guarantee. He is an Elite Pro partner with Rheem. So when the time comes, he'll give you the advice that you need about what unit to use. But before that happens, he's going to fix what ails your system. Call him today or go online at efficienthvac.net, efficienthvac.net, 615-784-4424 for Efficient.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, listen to all of the gunshots someone's security camera captured early this morning outside an Airbnb in the Cumberland Heights neighborhood. Yeah, Channel 4 grabbing that audio. At least one person was injured in that shooting. No arrests. Neighbors there on Fern Avenue say they're terrified until they do arrest somebody. Elsewhere in Middle Tennessee, News 2 says authorities have identified the man connected to the Columbia shooting this weekend as Byron Childers, a shooting which left 2 people dead, 1 person injured. Childers being held without bond on 2 counts of first-degree murder, several other charges. No additional details, including what led to the shooting, have been released. And police still asking anyone with information to reach out to their investigations division. Colorado officials are revealing more details on the suspected terror suspect who firebombed a crowd yesterday. Officials saying he revealed some of the planned attack. Here's Alex Stone.
Prosecutors are saying that Mohammed Solomon, told police that he dressed up like a gardener here to blend in so nobody would suspect anything, that he bought the bottles at Target to fill them with fuel that he bought while driving from Colorado Springs to here in Boulder.
45-year-old Mohammed Solomon charged with federal hate crimes on top of state charges that includes murder, even though none of the flamethrower victims have died. The latest data breach is a big one, maybe the biggest. ABC's Jim Ryan says it should serve as a reminder to anyone with an Apple device, a Facebook presence, or a Google account.
It's time to change your passwords and update your devices. A massive data breach that compromised more than 184 million passwords is being called a cyber criminal's dream. Online researchers say the leak affected everything from email accounts to social media logins to bank accounts. The problem? The file containing all that sensitive information was itself not password protected.
That database containing the information was discovered by security researcher Jeremiah Fowler. It is not clear where or how that data was collected. And back here in Middle Tennessee, Mount Juliet city leaders are advancing a plan for 400 multi-million-dollar homes on 400 acres just west of 109 between Lebanon Road, Beckwith Road, and Bass Lane. The Tennessean says prices will range from $1 million to $5 million. It's passed the first of 2 votes, with the second vote possibly coming on June 23rd. The big concern among some area residents, traffic. Even though part of this deal includes a widening project and traffic signal on Lebanon Road from Park Glen to West Elementary. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, police still reporting that crash 40 westbound near Fessler's Lane, then 24 westbound after Shelby Avenue. That's the westbound East Loop downtown. Over in Smyrna, TDOT says there's a stalled vehicle on the right shoulder, 24 eastbound near Almaville Road. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy, hour number 2, flying by already on a Monday. Happy to have you with us. Hannah Cox is coming up in the 6 o'clock hour. We're going to talk about TVA, the Tennessee Valley Authority, as it relates to Cheatham County and some of their efforts to diversify their portfolio with the TVA, to include stuff that I frankly don't think the TVA needs to be involved with. Of course, if you ask me, I don't even know that the TVA ought to be involved in providing energy to the people, but that's a different subject for another conversation that will happen at 6 o'clock this afternoon. Our conversation is, relatively speaking, related in as much as when you talk about dams, when you talk about water, when you talk about utility, you're kind of talking about similar type stuff as TVA. And we are proud to welcome to the show Jason Gillum, who joins us to discuss really a subject that I've been hearing more and more and more about. I've been seeing these green shirts all over the place when you go out to events, and I wanted to find out more about it. And every person that I talked to said Jason Gillum is the guy that knows, and he joins us in studio to discuss the possibility of a Columbia Dam and a new water system, a new lake, and everything that goes along with that. Jason, how are you, man?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on today. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to have you. I appreciate you providing a little information to the audience about this subject, which I've been hearing more and more and more about. Am I late to the party? How long has this conversation about the Columbia Dam been going on?
Well, actually, it started in the late 60s.
Well, I am late to the party.
There's been a lot that has transpired over the decades in relation to this dam. But at any rate, the Tennessee Valley Authority was formulated in 1933. Mm-hmm. And almost immediately, they started doing studies on the Duck River, which is a river, a body of water that runs entirely in the state of Tennessee. It's 284 miles long. It originates just outside of Manchester, Tennessee, and it feeds into the mouth of the Tennessee River, just at Waverly, close to New Johnsonville, kind of in between Interstate 40 and New Johnsonville, if you're familiar with the river there. But anyway, that's where the Duck River, the mouth of the river, comes into the Tennessee. And so TVA started doing studies about having a potential water reservoir for future water needs in our area, specifically in Murray County. And they looked at about 6 different locations on the river, but they pinpointed 2. And Normandy Dam being one, and then the Columbia Dam being the other. Those 2 projects were supposed to be built in tandem to work together, to not only have a water reservoir, but to help protect the river. Flood control is another aspect of it. But at any rate, it got started, and just to make a long story short, the Normandy Dam was able to be completed, and the Columbia Dam got halted because some environmentalists who lived all the way out in California thought that they needed to be concerned about our Duck River and our water needs. And so they came
a 4-footed salamander or something like one of those deals.
Yeah, the snail darter and the monkey face mussel and the pearly wing mussel. They came up with those items that said, "Hey, if
I made something up. Were yours real?
They were. Yes.
Wait, say them again, Jason. I made something up, and Jason sounded more made up than mine. What were they?
So we've got the snail darter.
Which is
a little fish, right? Yeah. And they at the time said that that's the only place that this fish existed was right here in the Duck River, and you're going to build this lake right on top of them, and they're going to be gone forever if you do that.
No.
Well, after the project got halted and eventually scrapped, they discovered that little fish in waters all over the all over
the
North
snail
America.
darters, I know that the snail darter's in Alabama.
It is. It's all over Tennessee. They're everywhere. They found,
What was the monkey-faced one?
The monkey-faced mussel and the pearly wing mussel.
Oh, okay.
The Duck River has a lot of different mussel varieties within the river. You know, it's called the most biodiverse river, and there is a lot of biodiversity in the Duck River. There's no question about that. But the question is, would this lake actually destroy the biodiversity? Well, Normandy Lake has been there since 1970, and guess what? It didn't destroy the biodiversity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a
Is
lake.
it on the Duck, too?
It is.
Okay.
It is. So it's just upstream of where the Columbia Dam was supposed to have been completed in the 80s.
Sure.
And so they actually started building that dam in 1972. And at completion, that dam would have held back 12,600 acres of water, 12,600 acres. It would have been 290,000 acre feet of water. That's an enormous amount of water. It would be a 100-year water solution for Murray County and the surrounding counties if we were able to get this project finally completed.
Yeah, in my, small amount of research that I've done on this prior to having you on, almost no matter where people are on it, it is agreed that if the Columbia Dam was built, I've heard no one disagree with this, that it would solve the water situation for Middle Tennessee for
Absolutely.
Any conceivable future.
Absolutely. It would. It's, that lake would be bigger than Timms Ford Lake. Timms Ford's 10,000 acres. So we're talking about 12,600 acres. There's other options that people are talking about, but when you really start getting in the weeds with these other options, you really start looking at them, they're really not more feasible. Maybe not feasible at all when you compare them to building the Columbia Dam. Mm-hmm. And there's all kinds of reasons. There's cost, there's length of project. The pipeline itself is estimated to be over $1 billion. Now,
I don't want to get too far ahead of it. So, Jason, are the options? So almost everyone agrees that there are water needs in Middle Tennessee, in and around Murray County, that need to be addressed. That's just
absolutely
common knowledge. And so the dam is one solution that obviously you are promoting.
Yes.
Is the pipeline the only other solution?
No, there's not. So there's a water supplier that sits right over here in Cool Springs, Mallory Valley. All right, they get their water from the Cumberland. Okay, mm-hmm. They get the water, they distribute the water. That's another option. However, you've got to think about the cost of this water. If we were to use Mallory Valley, and I'm going to give you a quick example. I happen to be on the water board for the Murray County water system. And so we're constantly looking at ways to bring more water into Murray County. We at Murray County Water System have already, and the project is just about to be underway, we have tapped into HBTS, which is another water supplier down Highway 431. That water will be coming from the Cumberland. It'll be treated water. We're going to connect to that line at the Murray and Williamson County lines on 431. That's going to bring us an additional 2.5 million gallons of water a day to the east side of our county. That's a short, temporary relief. It helps us to get a little bit more pressure off the duck because we buy our water from Columbia Power and Water. So
that comes from the Duck River?
And that comes from the duck. Okay. So here's where I was going with this. If we were to do this deal with Mallory Valley as one of the options, Mallory Valley gets their water from Cumberland, but they buy it from Harpeth Valley. Mm-hmm. Okay? So Mallory Valley buys it from Harpeth. Columbia Power and Water would have to buy it from Mallory Valley. Murray County Water System buys ours from Columbia Power and Water. So when someone like me who lives in rural Murray County turns on our faucet, that water that we get out of that faucet, if we were to do that, we would be paying for that water 5 times.
You're paying a lot of middlemen.
Paying all the middlemen.
Right.
And so, our water bill would be $300 a month.
All right, so that's one option. Option 2, or let's talk about the pipeline option. What is that? What does that look like?
Okay, so the pipeline is 30 miles in length. It goes to the Cumberland. It goes from the Cumberland to Columbia Power and Water. So that pipeline would come down, and
so we're kind of cutting the Harpeth folks out of it. The deal.
Right.
Okay.
We'd have a supply of water. The initial ask is 31 million gallons of water from the Cumberland. Now, there's an issue right now with that idea, that concept, because the Army Corps of Engineers has stepped in and said that there's not going to be another drop of water withdrawn from the Cumberland River until they can do a study to see how the water withdrawal is affecting the Cumberland River. Mm-hmm. The earliest they think that study would be complete is in 26, the end of 26. So that's basically a year and a half away. And there's no guarantee that once that study is complete that they're going to say, yeah, sure, you guys can get 31 million gallons of water a day out of the Cumberland. That'd be great. It might be half that. We don't know. Mm-hmm. But the cost of the project is $1 billion. So you have to somehow wrap your head around and justify the cost of that. And that's state money. That's not federal money. That's state money. And so the aspect of this whole thing is there's no one utility that could borrow that kind of money for a pipeline that's not within their water system. So what happens is Jason Munpower, our comptroller, right, does a great job. He's the money man for the state. If you ever have any questions, that's the man to go to. He's got the answer. But there's no way that he could justify paying $1 billion to a utility for a pipeline that's not completely within their purview. So you have to create a regional water authority whereby all these utilities that fall into this region would relinquish their control. You'd have a regional authority that provides the water, and then each one of the utilities would be paying that regional authority for that water. Now, I laugh about it sometimes.
Sounds a lot like TVA.
Yeah. So I laugh about it because I say, and I don't want to offend any Catholics out here, but I'd be wearing the Pope's hat before that happens. I mean, it's just not something that's just going to happen. It would take decades to accomplish that task.
And when you say that that's how it would have to happen, this is the first time hearing. I mean, and I don't know. I mean, would it have to happen that way? Because this is the first time hearing that it would have to have a regional controlling authority.
Yes. No one utility, because you've got to legitimize loaning that kind of money for a pipeline, right? So one utility with 22, 25, 30,000 customers, there's no way that you could. You don't think the state would back it up? That's $1 billion.
I'm just asking. I don't know.
Well, anything's possible, but is it feasible? Is it something that has ever happened before? No.
Sure.
And do I think it would happen? Absolutely not.
Sure.
Because there's just no way to justify being able to get any money back from that.
Right.
So that's the big kicker for that pipeline. Not to mention the fact, and here's some interesting notes on that. I told you it was 30 miles long. It goes through Davidson, Williamson County to get to Murray County. But you talk about the environmental aspect of that pipeline, and then you start looking at some other things. We build a dam on the Duck River, and we're just going to have a reservoir that's going to take up about 51 miles of the river. The river, as I said, is 284 miles long. So there's still plenty of river out there to go kayaking in, canoe in, to wade, to fish, but if we were to do this pipeline, the thing that caught my eye is it would have to cross the Harpeth River twice. It would cross 10 major creeks and 82 secondary creeks. It would have to go through 169 different properties. And it would have to cross a lot of eminent domain.
Mm-hmm. A lot of impact studies.
What do you think the environmental impact of crossing the Harpeth twice with this pipeline, 10 major creeks and 82 secondary creeks would be? I mean, it would be devastating.
Wow.
So it's a huge undertaking.
All right, so those are the two biggies in terms of different ideas. We'll take a short time out, and then when we come back, let's talk about the dam and talk about that concept and that idea.
Yes.
Before we go to break, though, and I don't know I believe it or not, y'all, I have I'm just learning like all of y'all. This is a new one for me that I'm saying I don't have any interest outside of wanting to learn and figure out for myself what is the best solution to what everybody agrees is a growing problem in the community. But Adam writes in and says that he takes exception with you saying it was an environmentalist from California who stopped the dam with a snail daughter. It was an environmental defense fund on behalf of the Eastern Band Cherokee Tribe and faculty and students at UT Law School.
I'm sorry, he's incorrect. It was Sierra Club out of California. They wrote thousands of letters to the Carter administration to get this dam stopped. Now, that might have been something that was attached later. I don't know. Sure. But the actual, it was Sierra Club that got that project halted.
Was that in 72?
They in 83 is 83? When they halted the project.
I was 10, so I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, Jason Gillum is with us. He is promoting the concept of a Columbia Dam. We'll continue talking about it. If you have any questions, Hit me up on the Super Text line or on the phone line, 615-737-9986. We got Jason in studio, 21 after the hour on Super Talk. Boy, what an incredible event that we had at the Glock store. Man, oh man, I hope you were there. It seemed like everybody was there and so many giveaways. As a matter of fact, one of the giveaways is so cool, and I hope he calls in. A fellow by the name of Sawyer did not realize that the open house was going on Saturday, right? And he stops by just to pick up a couple of magazines and started to leave because he saw the big crowd, but decided to go in. And Sawyer told me the story that as he was going back out to get a bottle of water, a guy that was leaving said, "Hey, I got to leave early. Here's my ticket. I hope you win something with it." And that was the winning ticket for the Trump Glock. Sawyer won it. So excited. I'll put up a photograph on social media about Sawyer, and Lenny McGill and I took a great picture with Sawyer. It was a fabulous time. Hope you were there. And if not, the Glock store is always there for you. They are open always, and we are so blessed to have them in our community. They've got great shooting rooms. Many people found out about those shooting rooms when you were there on Saturday. They've got a tremendous retail space, a manufacturing division. Let me tell you something. The event was tip-top. First time or repeat attendees were excited to be there. It was the best yet, the 5th annual open house. So go by the Glock store today. They're on Airlane Drive just off of Elm Hill Pike, or go online at glockstore.com or shoot270.com. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the Glock store. You know, some of you have said, Murphy, would you stop saying that May and June is bug sex season? And I will not stop saying it, because I tell the truth on this show. And the bugs are growing in population, and if they're on your property, they're probably growing right there in your home and in your yard area. I'm talking about spiders. I'm talking roaches, fleas, and ticks. Man, oh man. I mean, they're getting after it, and they are making baby fleas and baby ticks. And they're all after you. They want what's yours. They're little communists, all of them. And at U.S. Pest, they're there to protect you from beginning to end. U.S. Pest is the #1 company. J.K. Erica Brister, fine folks. They own U.S. Pest. They've grown it by leaps and bounds since owning U.S. Pest. And they want to talk with you about pest control and pest protection in your home and on your property. Full-service pest control with 100% money-back guarantee. Termite protection, same deal, 100% money-back guarantee. Crawl-space service available as well. I like to say that bugs are little communists. They want what's yours. They come into your home. They don't want to pay for anything, but they want to take everything that's yours, whether it's cool or warmth or food, always. And here's the deal. JK and Erica, U.S. Pest, they love America and they hate bugs. That's what it's all about. Go to uspest.com. That's uspest.com, 590-1260 for U.S. Pest.
A popular place for families to go in Nashville was a scary place to be this weekend. We'll tell you about it at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. A few minutes in this segment. We'll get to news, as Ken Weaver mentioned, and we got Jason for another segment afterwards, discussing the possibility of a Columbia Dam project coming to fruition and different options. So we kind of went over the other options. And once again, and I just want to make clear, I'm happy to have Jason on to kind of educate me and educate the audience on this project and why it would mean so much for Maury County. If anybody wants to come on the show and talk about different concepts or ideas, you're welcome to. My goal here, and I think Jason would agree with this, is if we maximize the amount of information to Maury County and the citizens beyond Maury County that will be impacted by this, you feel like it'll be clear that the dam is the way to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's where we've been heading. When we started this whole initiative, it was started in the living room of a gentleman named Bart Watley, and there was about 7 of us in the room. And it truly is a grassroots effort.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've had people say, who's getting rich off this and all that. I mean, we're pulling pennies out of our pocket to make bumper stickers and T-shirts and things like that to get this promotion out there. But I've been to all of the surrounding counties. I've talked to all of our legislators. I've been to Washington, D.C. I've talked to all of our congressmen and women and our senators. I've had personal meetings with every one of them. And the whole purpose of all of this is to get an appropriation to do a feasibility study for the dam as it would be there today. Mm-hmm. And that's what's so key, because we need to know, is it truly feasible? I think that it will be.
So forgive my historical ignorance, but I think what we'll do is we'll catch up to now in the next couple of minutes, and then we'll move forward because a lot of people want to ask questions. Okay. So what happened? Everything got started in '72, and my buddy Adam said he stands corrected on the Sierra Club front, but so it was just environmentalists that ground the dam to a halt, and that's just kind of where it ended?
They did. They put huge pressure on the administration, and the administration, instead of pushing back, they just said, okay, well, maybe we'll just take a look at this thing. Well, here's the thing. While that was happening, TVA was involved in another new project, and that was the Hartsville nuclear plant that they were building at the same time. So when they halted construction on the dam, well, TVA needed the men and equipment that were at the dam to help build this plant at Hartsville. And so they eventually pulled those people off when there was no progress being made on the dam itself. And so once they were able to redivert the river back, which was an Army Corps of Engineer task, and they signed off to do it, well, TVA was gone. Now, I'm not saying they would have completed the project, but they did get the letter of approval to redirect the river back behind the dams to start holding back water to build that reservoir. And so, it just never happened. And, consequently, the Hartsville nuclear plant never happened either. But
well, the land was acquired.
So 15,100 acres was acquired. That land is still there today. It is being managed by the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency. It exists under a WMA, a wildlife management area called Yanali. The lake itself was going to be, as I said, 12,600 acres. It was going to be within that WMA that exists today, that Yanali. And so the land is there. 7% of that originally purchased land was never acquired. In other words, when the project was halted, TVA stopped exercising their eminent domain. They stopped buying the land. 7% of it was never acquired.
So you'd have to acquire that.
That 7% would have to be acquired. Now, that's approximately 1,000 acres, give or take. 500 of that belongs to 2 deed holders. One is Rogers Group, which is a rock quarry, and that lies within that 7%. And the other is the Kennedy family, who owns 300 acres. So that takes up 500 of roughly that 1,000. The rest of them would be a handful of landowners, private landowners that still have that. All right,
we'll pause it there. When we come back, lots of folks want to talk with you, Jason, and we want to get to Greg and to Paul and to Tom and anybody else that's calling in with questions. A lot of questions coming in on the Super Text line as well. The Matt Murphy Show with Jason Gillum with the Columbia Dam Project. We'll be back in a moment. It's time for news on Super Talk.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. CMA Fest is upon us. Will it rain? Is it going to be hot? Well, full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. A popular place for families to go in Nashville was a scary place to be this weekend. Here's Channel 4's Brendan Tierney.
Metro Police say they got calls from multiple people here at Shelby Park that saw a man yelling racial slurs and threatening families with a gun. Officers say the man told two kids he was going to kill them, so families started hiding behind cars. Police were able to arrest the homeless man and say he was just holding a water bottle like it was a weapon.
The man's still facing charges, even though police say they searched and never found a gun. The suspect in the Boulder, Colorado flamethrowing attack during a pro-Israel march is facing attempted murder charges in his in-state court. He's also accused of committing a federal hate crime. ABC News contributor and former FBI agent Brad Garrett tells us what message the federal charges might send.
Because the feds have charged him, you're really telling people, look, if you do something like this or you plan something like this and we find it out, we're going to stop you or we're going to pursue you if you did pull it off until we catch you. It's a bit of accountability and maybe we'll back some people off.
Department of Homeland Security says 45-year-old Mohammed Solomon is in the U.S. illegally. His B-2 visa, typically a tourism visa, expired in February 2023. And back here in Nashville, changes coming at the airport. It's got some passengers speaking out. Starting tomorrow, curbside drop-offs will not be allowed for rideshare passengers. Those passengers will have to be dropped off at the Ground Transportation Center, which is the same location they go when leaving the airport to find a rideshare, and then have to walk 10 minutes to get to the terminal. Airport officials say it's to ease curbside congestion by increasing the roadway capacity. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Well, Metro Police still showing a crash. Going to be 40 westbound near Fessler's Lane. Other than that, it's pretty slow going if you are eastbound 440 and between 65 and 24. And then the usual slowdown on the South Loop downtown going both directions. Then North Loop heading up there to 24. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. Let's talk for a moment about food. I love talking about food, more now than ever because I've lost a little weight and I'm constantly hungry. But that said, if you're hungry, if you're thinking about making something delicious tonight, why not stop by Savory Spice? They're in Franklin, just off the square, and they have just about everything except food for the food game. You're like, what are you talking about, Murray? I'm talking about spices and seasonings. I'm talking about different blends, salts and peppers, of course, from all parts of the earth, and just exotic international flavors and as down home as you want to get. They've got it at Savory Spice. They're locally owned. I love that. Holly and David are the owners, and you'll see them in the shop when you walk in. But they're there to provide you with anything and everything you need for the kitchen. If you're an experienced chef, you probably already know about Savory Spice because, frankly, it's a better line of spices than you'll get at the grocery store, a better line of spices than you'll get really anywhere else. If you're looking to up your food game, I would encourage you to up your spice game. And if you're looking to up your spice game, you do that from Savory Spice. It's the one and only. Savory Spice, just off the square in Franklin. Go in and see them. You'll smell them before you walk through the door, the beautiful aroma of the delicious spices of Savory Spice. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. A very interesting local story that is really growing in terms of individuals talking about it, knowledgeable about it, especially impacting Murray County, but the beyond. I mean, the community. Jason Gillum's with us, by the way, with the Columbia Dam Project, and Jason, the impact will go beyond Murray County. I mean, obviously.
Oh, absolutely. The cost benefit of this lake would be enormous. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars, literally, because it's not just the water. I mean, that's the primary focus. That's the reason that I'm behind this, because I know the dire situation that we're in. The Duck River is already beyond a precipice of needing to be halted in any way of withdrawals for water. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's 7 utilities on the Duck River right now. As they exist today, about 35 million gallons of water a day is being withdrawn from the Duck River. All of the utilities on that river have permits submitted to TDEC for greater withdrawal. Mm-hmm. If all of those permits were approved, that 35 million would go to 65 million. There's not enough water in the Duck River to do that. In summer months right now, Matt, you can go out on that river in August, and there's many places that you can cross that river in ankle-deep water. If you put a leaf in the middle of that river in August, you come back 45 minutes later, that leaf will be sitting in the exact same spot you put it in because there's no flow.
So how does creating a dam and a lake alleviate that?
Because you create a reservoir. That 290,000 acre-feet of water I was talking about being held back behind the dam. Mm-hmm. See, that's additional water because that's trapped water. When we have rainfall, additional water resources coming in, it traps that water. So then what you get to have is a release from the dam to give a more constant flow for the river below the dam. So not only do you can manage the level of the water, but you can manage the flow of the water. Mm-hmm. So it would make for a healthy river below the dam, all the way to the mouth of the Tennessee River. It also would be a flood control deterrent. It would help the flood control issues that we face. Columbia gets flooded all the time from Duck River. And then the farmers down in Cross Bridges and Williamsport, they lose agricultural land. The riverbank gets washed off. They lose crops and everything else when we have the flooding of the Duck River. So the dam would alleviate all of that. But we were talking about money. So let's talk about that for a minute. Mm-hmm. You've got boating registration, fishing license, hunting license, hotels, restaurant, tourism. I mean, people... Look at Tim's Ford, for instance. Look at Percy Priest. How many people go to that lake? People travel from surrounding counties to go there. So you're talking bait shops. I mean, we could go on and on and on. Marinas,
economic impact,
Economic impact would be you couldn't wrap your head around it. And a pipeline, I'm sorry, you can't fish in a pipeline. You can't ski in a pipeline. Nobody's going to buy a hotel room or go to a restaurant to look at a pipeline.
If I've gotten so many questions here. I want to get to a few on the phones with our guest Jason Gillum. This one comes in, and there are a few naysayers on the super text line. Listen, I want all comers. I want all information on the table. I'm not, I'm getting accused of just presenting one side. I just asked for anybody that had any information or maybe a contrary point of view. You're welcome to come on and present that point of view. I just want information to the people and allow the folks to make a decision. Someone said, "Is this another lake?" This is not the contrary point of view. Will this be another lake where no one will be able to own shoreline? Doesn't Tennessee lose much money in property taxes when the state owns the shoreline? That's from Sandra. Have y'all gotten that far in the analysis?
Well, so in the old study and the way that it was, then there would be lakefront property. Now, I can't say when they do the new feasibility study how that's going to change. But yes, there would be lakefront property as it exists today without any changes.
Right. So you need who all needs to sign off on this project? Let's say that we had everybody in a row that needs to sign. Who all needs to sign off on this?
Well, right now, where we are today, the first big obstacle was to get the feasibility study done. Okay. That's why we've had such a push with all of our county leadership, our county commissions, our municipalities, our city councils, passing the resolution for support of getting this feasibility study done, which we've been doing, and our state representatives, and then our congressional leaders. And like I said, I've met with all of them. They with the exception of Steve Cohen in West Tennessee, when I was at the Capitol building, they were in session. That was right before the big, beautiful bill. People were in and out. I didn't have a scheduled appointment with him. I went to his office. I talked to his people. But all of our Congress people within Middle Tennessee and our senators, they are in support of this. Marsha Blackburn has not said that she's supporting the dam, but she has not said she's against it either. I'm waiting to hear her final, what she's going to do as far as supporting this or not.
If she ends up running for governor, there's no question she's going to have to land on the side.
Well, John Rose is supporting it, Mark Green's supporting it, Diana Harshberger, Tim Burchett, Scott Desjardins, Andy, he's spearheading it. They're all behind it. So, and all we're trying to do is to get this feasibility study to see once and for all in 2025, is this dam feasible? I believe that it is.
Someone called you a nasty name and said, wouldn't 11 miles of I-65 have to be elevated?
Well, it very well could be, but that's the same I-65 that people sit 2 hours on to get to Nashville today that we could do it in 35 minutes 15 years ago. So, there's a lot of changes that need to be done to I-65. Widen it is one of them, and if they have to raise a bridge, well, okay, so let's raise the bridge, because you know why? At the end of the day, we need water. It's about life.
And just real quick, because I know you can answer this one quickly, latecomer, I think, to the show, 6761, and no offense to you, but we got them coming in all the time, say, this got shut down by environmental folks the first time around. Why wouldn't they be able to do the same thing this time around?
Because the conditions don't exist today as they existed back then. The snail darter's been found in other waters. The TWRA has a hatchery for mussels in Gallatin, Tennessee now. They grow mussels there, and they transplant them in rivers all over the place. So the reasons that they were using, even though they weren't factual reasons, to stop that project back then, they don't exist today.
Right. And I have no doubt that the environmental groups will try to find something.
Oh, absolutely.
And you'll have to fight that fight, but you're going to have to fight that fight no matter how you try to get water.
At the end
whether
of the
it's
day,
a pipeline or a dam or whatever.
At the end of the day, it comes down to water. And yes, there's other options, but are they better, more feasible options? As I just told you, if you build this pipeline, you're crossing, it's not twice, I misspoke, it's 3 times. You cross the Harper 3 times. You cross 10 major creeks and 82 secondary creeks to get this pipeline. And how harsh is that to the environment?
Power generation?
Yes. So that's another thing. Back when this project was originally started, they said there's really not a cost benefit to the dam as far as electricity goes. It would be about a 1-to-1 because the flow of the river is less than what you would have in other rivers. However, 50 years of technological advancements, now we have what they call blue generators. They can take lower flows and generate electricity from them. That didn't exist then. So that 1-for-1 cost analysis now, it's changed. It won't be that anymore. So this feasibility study, that's another thing that it will show us. And I have a strong inclination that it's going to tell us that, yes, you will be able to generate electricity from this dam.
Let's take a couple of telephone calls as time allows. Let me get to Greg, who is on the road with a question for our guest, Jason Gillum. Greg, you're up.
Hey, appreciate you taking my call.
Of course.
We live downstream, Hickman County, Humphreys County. We live in Centerville, which is 30 minutes, from Columbia.
Very familiar.
And grew up on the river all my life and just wondered how much the folks that live downstream, I know Hickman County is growing, not at the rate of Murray County by any stretch, but future use and recreation of the area. We've boated all of our life. I know, like he said, August, September, river's low, and how will it affect us downstream? And I appreciate y'all taking my call and question.
Yeah, Greg, no problem. Listen, I'll tell you, it's going to enhance it. You're going to have a better, more constant flow of water. You're going to have a higher level of water throughout those summer months when the river would normally be lower and go down because of, just less rain and the same amount of water usage. I do know for a fact that there's a company in Hickman County, T-Rex. They make holsters for pistols. I've met the owner of the company. They wanted to expand their company. They wanted to expand and build a bigger building. And you know what? They couldn't do it. You know why they couldn't do it?
Water.
Not enough water.
So Pat writes in, and she's a loyal listener to the show, and she says, I have friends that will lose their homes. It's a hard sell for us because it will so change our communities. How many have you any idea of how many people would be impacted in terms of loss of home? I
don't exactly, but I live very close to the areas that would be impacted. I live right there on Fountain Creek. My family farm, part of it was taken. We lost the farm I live on today, 27 acres was taken off of that farm. Part of it was my grandmother's farm. Mm-hmm. So I actually have cousins, family members who have homes that were built in the last 2 to 5 years. And it's just, and I don't want to downplay this. Please don't think that I'm downplaying it when I say it's just, I've got a couple of cousins who have homes that are built in an area that will be underwater, and it absolutely breaks my heart. And I've had conversations with them personally, and they know the importance of water. They understand it. They've told me that. You know, nobody wants to lose their home, and I certainly don't want anybody to lose their home. But the reality of this situation is this: they should have never been able to build those houses there in the first place. That lake should have been there. It should have never been torn down. And I, for one, understand, and it does bother me greatly. However, I do know that they will be compensated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not just going to come in there and take their houses. They will be compensated if we ever get to that point.
Well, and, you know, I grew up in Thompson, Georgia, no P in Thompson, Thomson, which is just down the way from Clark's. We call it on the Georgia side Clark's Hill Lake. They call it Thurman Lake on the South Carolina side, but it's not really Thurman Lake. It's called Clark Hill Lake, and it always will be.
Right.
But I remember my grandpa talking to folks who had their houses taken way back when they built Clark Hill Lake. And you know, I mean, it's a fact of doing something like this that the folks that are impacted that have to move, you're probably never going to get those. I mean, very rarely you're going to get those people on your side, and you got to be sensitive to it. I mean, but understand that there comes a point where there's a reason why the founding fathers put eminent domain in the Constitution.
Well,
that is, at some point, you create the greater good.
And, Matt, I don't want the fact to be lost on us now, today, that 380 families have already lost their farms and their homes because of the Columbia Dam project from 1972. They took 380 farms from families, some of my relatives. And like I said, my grandmother was one of them, part of it. So that's already happened.
What is that? When you say it's managed by the TWRA, they just allow, is it managed land that they allow hunting on? Or
so
what?
Basically what happened was when the TVA decided to scrap the project and they tore the dam out, the dam was 98% complete. It was 2,005 feet across. It was 108 feet tall. It had 5 gates that were 40 foot by 40 foot. It was a massive dam. They tore it completely out. So what happened was the TVA said, well, we've got all this land. What are we going to do with it? We took it. Now we have it. What are we going to do with it? So they gave it to the state of Tennessee. So Tennessee got the land, and they said, well, what are we going to do? We got to take care of this land. What are we going to do with it? So they allowed the TWRA to manage it, which is why we have Yanali, which is why it is now a WMA, a wildlife management area.
Okay. As many as we can get to. I tell you what, I think I should do it this way. I'm going to take a short time out, and if you can stick around, I'll get to as many of your calls, rapid fire, as we can get to. Jason Gillam's with us, talking and promoting. What is it, Columbia Dam Now? Is that the website? ColumbiaDamNow.com is the website for additional information on his side of the subject. And once again, we're going to talk about this. This is the beginning of a conversation, not the end of a conversation. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So when it comes to large home repairs, a lot of times, man, oh man, I don't know what to do. I don't know about you, but sometimes things are just too big for Murphy, and I've got to call the experts. When it comes to your home's foundation and your waterproofing of your home, you need to call the right people, because a lot of people claim to be experts, and they aren't. Here's the real experts, USS, United Structural Systems. They've been doing business since 1994. They've been keeping homes stable and dry since 1994. You don't do anything for that long if you're not doing it right. You don't get almost 30,000 positive testimonials if you're not doing it right, and they've got them at USS, United Structural Systems. So if you've had issues that you've noticed, maybe it's some of those signs that you're told to look for, such as doors sticking, windows sticking, or basements or crawl spaces that are musty or moldy smelling, you need to call USS. USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com, or 615-488-7855. 488-7855 for our friends at USS.
Criminal charges unveiled against the suspect in the Boulder, Colorado flamethrower attack. That story and more coming up at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. All right, Murphy Show. We're winding down a very, very informational hour with Jason Gillum, who is promoting the prospect of a Columbia Dam right there in Murray County on the Duck River. So Columbia Dam now, for any and all questions that I've not gotten to. I'm going to try to get to as many of your calls as possible. There are a lot of you. I probably won't get to all of you. Tom, you're wanting to talk about my shoulder. You'll be in a moment. Anthony wants to talk about Glock. You'll be there too. But right now it's Faye's turn in Columbia with a question about the Columbia Dam. Hey, Faye.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Of course.
My whole entire family's here, an extended family in Columbia. We're all 100% for this project. What is your best estimate if everything was approved and went the way you wanted it to be? When would it be usable?
Well, Faye,
great question. Faye.
Yeah, Faye, I appreciate that question, and that brings up a good point for me to make. So, one of the reasons that we jumped on this project when we did is it's a different time, we have a different need, and we have a different administration in office. And we've already seen President Trump has fast-tracked a few projects across the country, basically kind of cutting through some of the red tape that the environmental aspects would usually put before a project. So one's in California, one's in Colorado specifically. But to answer your question, we think that we can get this thing done in about 7 years, 10 years on the outside. One of the things that we're doing while we're trying to get this appropriation, and as I've already said, Andy Ogles is spearheading that appropriation to get that through Congress to get the money for the feasibility study. But we're also getting to President Trump in his ear in hopes that he understands the need for water in not only Murray but surrounding counties and the situation that we are in. Something I haven't mentioned is the fact that right now, as we sit here today, there are approximately 8,000 permits that have been issued for water in Murray County and in Columbia for homes that are not yet built. So when we talk about the river being at a precipice, we're not even talking about the water that's still out there that's going to be needed. There's 8,000 homes that have been approved that aren't built yet.
Like I say, it is and I appreciate all of you. We're simply out of time, but we'll have you back on, Jason.
I'd love to.
It is the beginning of a conversation, not the end of a conversation, and it's one that's much needed in Middle Tennessee. For folks who want more on this perspective, they can go to ColumbiaDamNow.com.
Absolutely, they sure can, and we meet once a month too. The website will have our meetings on there. People are welcome to come to the meetings, and they can ask questions and get information. And look, I welcome the opposition's point of view. I don't even like to use the word opposition. I mean, the
perspective. A different perspective is good.
Right, it's a different perspective.
That's fine.
The goal is to get us water, and there's different ways to do it. I just believe that this is the most feasible, least impactful way and the most expeditious way for us to get water in Murray County.
Jason Gillum, thank you so much. There's Jason's perspective. We'll take more of your calls, etc. We got 2 more hours to go. The Murphy Show, it's time for news. We'll get into the latest from the Boulder, Colorado attack. Sad, sad state of affairs out there in Boulder, Colorado, and altogether preventable. We'll discuss next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Right now in Colorado, criminal charges unveiled against the suspect in the Boulder flamethrower attack.
My office has charged Mohammed Sabri Solomon, age 45, with the commission of a hate crime under 18 U.S.C. Section 249.
That's Acting U.S. Attorney J. Bishop Gruel making the announcement.
And when he was interviewed about the attack, he said he wanted them all to die. He had no regrets, and he would go back and do it again.
Here's Alex Stone with more.
Prosecutors are saying that Mohammed Solomon, told police that he dressed up like a gardener here to blend in so nobody would suspect anything, that he bought the bottles at Target to fill them with fuel that he bought while driving from Colorado Springs to here in Boulder.
In addition to the hate crime, Solomon faces 16 counts of attempted murder in the first degree from the state in Sunday's attack. He's also in the U.S. illegally, according to federal authorities. He was on a tourist visa that expired in 2023. ICE rounding up illegal immigrants in Massachusetts. 1,500 in a widespread crackdown they're calling Operation Patriot. Authorities claim the majority of those arrested have criminal records ranging from sex offenses to drug trafficking. One of the people arrested was an 18-year-old high school student with no criminal record who was on his way to volleyball practice. Acting field director for ICE, Patricia Hyde, indicates that could have been avoided if local jurisdictions would let ICE take away illegal immigrants charged with crimes who are already in jail.
He's 18 years old. He's unlawfully in this country. And unfortunately, we had to go to Milford to look for someone else, and we came across him, and he was arrested.
Yeah, they were looking for his father. The 71st edition of the Fortune 500 list contains some newcomers at the bottom, but the top 5 have remained essentially unchanged. ABC's Jim Ryan says corporate America's undergoing a shift in the corner office.
Never before have so many Fortune 500 companies been led by women, 55 altogether. The list includes Mary Barra of General Motors, Jane Frazier of Citigroup, and Carol Tomei, the Chief Executive Officer at UPS.
Entertainment news. Nashville-based rock band Kings of Leon will not be going on tour in Europe this summer. The Tennessean says frontman Caleb Followill suffered a, quote, freak accident and was forced to cancel all upcoming European shows. In an Instagram video post from his home, Followill, sporting a blue robe, explained he broke his foot, can't be on his feet, travel or perform for 8 weeks. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, TDOT says there is a disabled vehicle blocking the right lane, 40 eastbound near Charlotte Avenue. Then in Antioch, police reporting a crash 24 eastbound after Hickory Hollow Parkway. And an earlier accident, police say it's still there, 40 westbound near Fessler's Lane. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey there, my name is Matt Murphy. Happy Monday. Let me just make some noise here. And get the microphone in the right position. Pardon me. Normally I try to do that before the mic goes on. But I failed in my duties. Now, I'll tell you who's not failing in his duties. That would be Chris Webber. He's handling duties with aplomb.
I haven't had a plum in years.
Really?
Love them.
Man, oh, man. I couldn't eat plums for... Hey, Ken's smiling in the background. Kim looks like a plum sucker.
Well, my Grandpa Weaver had plum trees. I ate them all the time.
Oh, my God. Ken, I knew I liked you for a reason. A lot of reasons, really. We had, I didn't realize how good I had it when I was growing up.
Me either.
We had about an acre of property in Thompson, Georgia, no P in Thompson. And, but on that property, we had pear tree, apple tree, 2 fig trees, 2 plum trees. My grandmother planted all that when she got there, right?
Yeah.
Because and for a while, my grandpa had a half acre that he rented or leased or whatever to do a little plot of garden, and then we eventually transferred that to his property. One way or the other, my brother and I would just sit and wait on the plums, and we would never wait long enough.
Yeah.
And we would get sick on green plums. Oh, my God, they were so good.
Yeah, those green plums, they'll get you.
Oh, we'd try them. Oh, not ready. Try them. Oh, not ready. But as soon, they make you pucker up.
Yes, it would.
Oh,
that's the thing, man. The sour in a plum is what gets you. And it is great.
So good. So good. Figs, not so much. Not for me.
I don't know if
put them in a Newton, they'll be all right.
Yeah, they'll be all right there.
Make them into a cookie.
I would just, when I was a kid, man, I would run and hide when my grandma would pull out the fig preserve. She would go to the storeroom and get one of those jars, and she'd put them on my plate, whether I wanted them or not. I'd beg her not to. Plop, you need some figs. Anyway, there's Chris Webber. There's Ken Weaver. They're doing their job. Me, not so much. 615-737-9986. Look, I can't promise that I have the information that Jason Gillum has with regard to promotion of the Columbia Dam project. But if you have any other questions, I'll try to answer as I can. And, folks, I don't believe that we have and Jason and I were talking about this when he left. Jason Gillum, by the way, spending a better part of the hour with us talking about this project that is being pushed and promoted up until to the federal government. So Jason says, and I would agree with it, that there really is no dispute that the Middle Tennessee area in and around Murray County is in need of additional water. As Columbia grows and the surrounding communities grow, obviously you're going to need additional water sources and resources. That said, what is the best way to get it? Well, that's isn't that the $1 million question? And some folks say the feasibility of doing it a different way is a better use of our time and resources. I'm willing to talk to anybody about this. Believe it or not, Matt Murphy does not preform opinions on every single subject. And I am open to conversation about this subject. And where it goes from here, let's find out. At 3989, yes, we had a muscadine tree as well. Oh my goodness, love some muscadines.
Yeah.
Kind of got wrecked on muscadines. Have I told the muscadine wine? I think I have told the muscadine wine story.
I don't recall that one.
Well, I went to college, and my grandpa just got a kick out of me telling him stories. We would share stories about his time as a teenager and early 20-something hitting the town, and I would tell him stories about college parties, and he loved my college party stories. So one day I came home and he had a present for me. It was a 5-gallon, it was a glass bottle. It was a 5-gallon glass bottle full of muscadine wine that he had been carefully fermenting and crafting and getting ready for me. And he said, that's for you. You should give them folks, that's some real drinking there. Give them people that at the next party you have. Because, I said, okay. And so I loaded it up in my Chevrolet Monza, belted it in the passenger seat.
Yeah.
Put a belt in, safety first. He had a big cork in the top of it. And he said I've strained it 3 times, but it's still a little murky down there at the bottom. It was too, a little murky. And so we took that to a party, and it was a party at my apartment, and it was a theater. I mean, there was a bunch of people there, and we drank, and we got wrecked on the muscadine wine. So I called my grandpa a few days later, and he's like, how's that wine? And I was like, it was good. Paul, it was strong. He's laughing. He thinks this is the funniest thing. I was like, it destroyed us. It knocked us out. What in the world? He goes, well, he said, I wasn't satisfied with it. I kept testing it. It didn't seem to be getting hard enough. So I knew you were coming home, so I went ahead and put 3 quarts of moonshine in it.
Well, thanks for the warning, right?
Well, that explains it. So I'm feeling like it was about 30, 40 proof. By the time all was said and done, man, it was stout. So I still have trouble when offered muscadine wine because
muscadine wine
brings back some interesting memories. All right, Tom, you've been holding for far too long. I hope you're still there. I hope you're not mad at me for making you wait for as long as I did. Good afternoon, Tom. How are you?
Still blind. Not win the lottery. Just another day here in Mississippi.
What's up, brother?
All right, you were talking about your shoulder replacement. My wife has had 2 reverse shoulder joint replacements. One was caused because somebody changed their medicine and caused her to fall down and tear it up. The other one, somebody bent her 2004 Mustang commemorative edition convertible in the shape of the letter U by running a red light.
Oh, wow. Yikes. That's no good. So mine will not be a reverse because I'm young. As it was described to me, I still got a pretty good socket.
Yep, okay.
So he said your receiver's good enough that we'll just plastic cap the receiver and then titanium the shoulder. So we're not doing a reversal. We're just doing the standard shoulder.
Well, to tell the doc that she can raise both her arms directly above her head, which
excellent.
they say is almost impossible to do.
Yeah.
But she also has 2 fake knees and 2 rods in her back, and her right hip was replaced 4 times.
Do y'all ever fly?
Yes. They always wander. No matter
I bet they do.
Yeah. And right now the rods are broke loose, so we're waiting on the insurance company to get their head out of you-know-where and tell them that they'll go ahead and redo it because it was done 2.5 years ago, and it failed. They broke loose. I'm going to give him some stainless steel wire ties, you know?
Man, Tom, it sounds like you've got the bionic lady over there.
Pretty much, except she does not run near as fast as Jamie did, you know?
Well, you can't have everything. How's everything going though? She's doing all right. Your wife's okay?
No, she's in a lot of pain. She can, if she works a day, she's got to sit down, take it easy, stay in bed because the pain's too bad, and she doesn't like to take the medicine. And I have to whip up a cocktail, some aspirin, some Flexeril, a couple of antidepressants, and that helps her sleep.
Well, wish her the best, brother. I appreciate y'all listening.
I pray for her every week in church.
Well, you're a good man. I appreciate you, buddy.
I do the best I can. Hey, thanks, Mr. Murphy. Have a good day.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate the kind words and the info. They have this way about it where if you are of a certain age, they say that it's better to reverse the socket. The socket's on your shoulder and the ball's on your arm, and they reverse it and they put the socket on your arm and the ball on your shoulder. And I don't know why they do it, but all I know is that I preferred to keep it the way God made it. And I don't know why, but feel like he might or she might know what they're doing. and I was told that that's the way that it would be. That my socket still received.
Okay, then.
And I said, all right, then. That's a little personal, but I suppose that's what we're doing here. Let's talk to Anthony, who is next up. What's up, Anthony? How are you?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great, Anthony. What's up with you?
Oh, I'm just sitting here listening to your show. But, I really enjoyed Saturday going to the Glock store.
Hey, Anthony, did you win one of the Glocks?
Yeah, I won the first one they raffled off.
How about that? Congratulations, Anthony. That's a big win.
Yeah, thank you. It surprised me. I wouldn't expect to win anything. But yeah, me and my nephew went, and we was there at the first raffle, and then they took a break, and we went in the back, and he kept saying, well, how will we know if we got anything, win anything, or they call our name or whatever? I said, well, we'll go up there. And So we went back up front, and sure enough, as soon as we got there, they called my number, and I couldn't believe it. It was just, so yeah.
Well, I think they ended up giving away. I don't want to shortchange them, but I think at the Glock Store annual event, the open house, I think 80 different items were given away, including 3 Glocks and what they call the big Glock was the Trump Glock, but you won one of them. Man, that's awesome. I
won the 9mm, the 43X.
Oh yeah, that's Have you owned a Glock before?
Actually, I do have one. I actually got it at auction. It's a 40 caliber Glock. It's the 23.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it. I've shot it, and
yeah, I've got a Glock. I've got a Glock 20, the 10 mil. So I get it. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah. But I ain't shot this one yet. I gotta get some ammo for it, and as soon as I get some ammo, I'm gonna shoot it and see how it shoots.
Well, Anthony, if we didn't see each other Saturday, I'm sorry for that, but let's.
Yeah, I did. I went back there in the back. I met you and shook your hand, and yeah. So, but yeah, that was like my nephew. He wanted to go, and I said, "Well, hey, I'm gonna meet Matt Murphy. I want to meet Matt Murphy, And so I made a beeline right there to you, where you all were, and met you and everything, and then we left because they were when we left they were auctioning off the stuff that people didn't.
Oh yeah, take your big win and just leave early, Anthony. I hear you. No, I'm just kidding. Well, it was good. It was good to see you. Thank you for saying hello, and what a great event. And let's not make it a year next time. Let's see each other pretty soon.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
All right. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
All right, take care. There's one of our big winners. We had 3 Glock winners. He was not the Trump Glock winner. That was a 43X as well, and it's got the Trump image on the side of it. Just very cool. And for a concealed carry piece, I would recommend the 43 from a Glock model, or I typically carry the SIG 365. I just prefer it just because it's a slightly shorter profile, a little bit wider, but a slightly shorter profile, which I prefer when I'm concealed carry. But I still have my 43 and absolutely love that as well. 20 after the hour, Mike and Ben will talk about saving water in just a moment. Don't forget, in the 6 o'clock hour, we will speak to Hannah Cox via Zoom call. And Hannah has a few things to say about TVA and whether or not TVA ought to be TVA anyway, and perhaps a little more on the Cheatham County story that we broke for you last week on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hat tip to John Rich. It's 20 after the hour on Super Talk. All right, friends. So you hear me talking Genesis Diamonds quite a bit, huh? And they are the one-stop shop for all things diamonds in this community. If you've got an anniversary or birthday or just because coming up, it's time to get to Genesis. And Genesis Diamonds has always been the best place to go when it comes to cost. But now they are taking financing rates to a new level. And when I say a new level, I'm talking about all the way down to zero. Zero. Right now, at Genesis Diamonds, pay nothing down and get 0 interest for 5 years on anything, on any purchase. A handcrafted Tacori ring with a GIA certified diamond is only $100 a month. Wedding bands, color bands, fashion necklaces, just $40 a month. Pick any item, pay 0 down, and spread your payments over 5 years, even the sales tax. How about this amazing, for example, $3,000 pair of diamond earrings, the home run gift of forever, and you pay just $50 a month. Luxury pre-owned Rolex watches are also included. While interest rates are still high everywhere else, Genesis is taking interest rates to the next level. Interest rate relief at 0.0 for 5 years on approved credit. See store for details at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs. Tell them Murphy sent you to the one and only Genesis.
Well, the Metro Council LGBTQ caucus is demanding a full investigation into an alleged attack over the weekend. We'll tell you about that and other top stories at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Man, it's a crying shame that those LGBTQ folks can't get seen, y'all. I mean, it really is. I wish they had more visibility. I mean, as far as I can tell, let me just spend a second or two. It won't take long to run down. There's the February 19th through 25 is the Aromantic Spectrum Awareness Week. Then March 21 to 25 is LGBTQIA+ Health Awareness Week. Then March 31st is Transgender Day of Visibility. April 6th is the International Asexual Day. You know, if I'd have been thinking about this, we'd play William Tell Overture underneath this, see if I can get it in. April 6th is International Asexuality Day. April 13th is International Day of Pink. April 14th is a day of silence. Well, thank God one day they're quiet. April 26th is Lesbian Visibility Day. April 17th is International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, and Transphobia. April 19th, Agender Pride Day. May 22nd, Harvey Milk Day. May 25th, Pansexual and Panromantic Day. The entire month of June, of course, is Pride Month. June 23rd is Stonewall Day, not Jackson. June 28th is International LGBTQ Day. July 14th, International Non-Binary People Day. July 16th, International Drag Day. September 16th through the 23rd, Bisexual Awareness Week. September 23rd, Celebrate Bisexuality Day. Entire month of October is LGBT History Month. October 8th, International Lesbian Day. I guess never mind. October 11th, Coming Out Day. October 17th to 24th, Gender Fluid Visibility Week. October 19th, International Pronoun Day. I'm not making any of this crap up. October 19th, it's Spirit Day, which is support for LGBTQ youth. October 23rd through the 29th, Asexual Awareness Week. October 26th, Intersexual Awareness Week. Or day, pardon me. The intersexual people just get a day. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. Entire month of November is Trans Awareness Month. November 5th is Transparent Day. I'll be transparent. This is all stupid, but I digress. November 8th is Intersex Day of Remembrance. November 13th through the 19th is Transgender Awareness Week. And finally, we wrap it all up for the year on November 20th, Transgender Day of Remembrance. You know, if only they got seen more.
I'm in favor of making them all federal holidays. We'd never go to work.
You know, Weber's been around for a minute, but that might be
might be on to something.
That might be the most. That's the smartest thing I think he's ever said. Hey, Mike is in Old Hickory. Hey, Mike, I got about 30, 45 seconds. It's yours. Take it away.
Yeah, well, that's about it. So we got senators now voting on a lot of stuff, and where are they? Gone for the summer. So you know what? We're not going to get the big bill passed because Haggerty and Blackburn are gone for the summer, and so everything's going to be delayed, and everything you just said prior is all going to be implemented when Trump is gone next year in the 2026 midterms. The Republicans are going to get fired out. They're not going to be in charge anymore because we're allowing the very stuff you just said.
Hey, help me out here, Mike. How is Donald Trump going to be gone next year? What?
2026 elections, that means he's got like one or two votes in the House. The House just sent it over to the Senate. Mm-hmm. The Senate now just said, we're going on vacation. John Thune, who's now head of the Senate, says, we're going to take a summer off. And so therefore, delay Trump. 5 Republican senators have already said they're going to vote against the big, beautiful deal, which will help everybody. But 5 Republican senators have said no. So drag it out through the summer, no hearings,
Hey, I think the Senate reconvened today. at 3
Did
o'clock.
they reconvene for the summer?
No. Listen to me, Mike. Listen to me, Mike. Listen to me. Listen to me. You ready? They're in session right now.
Are they convening right now through the summer?
Mike.
Because 5 Republican senators have said they're not going to vote
Mike,
for
stop regurgitating or repeating or reading what you're reading. Listen to me. Listen to me. You said they're out of session for the entire summer, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, they're convened in session right now. Like
for one day.
Literally
to do what? To do what?
So, but Mike, I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm trying to educate you. I'm not trying to argue with you.
Don't try to educate me.
Oh,
the
okay
Republican
then.
Senate.
All right, then I will stop trying to educate you. You go spew your pablum elsewhere, and I'll stop trying to educate you, and then everybody will be happier as a result. Back after this.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, the Metro Council's LGBTQ caucus claims a trans woman was attacked over the weekend in broad daylight, but they don't say where in Nashville. The caucus statement goes on to blame what members say is growing anti-trans sentiment being pushed in Tennessee and across the country. And it calls on law enforcement to investigate this alleged crime to the fullest extent and bring those responsible to justice. Channel 4 says it's reached out to Metro Police for details on this alleged crime. Metro Police investigating after one person was injured in a shooting outside an Airbnb in Cumberland Heights overnight. Here's Channel 4's Dryden Quigley.
Neighbors up and down the street all say they woke up to gunshots around 5 this morning. One of them even captured it on their security camera. That was just part of the nearly 24 gunshots neighbors on Fern Avenue said they heard. Moments later, you could see a man and woman heading through a backyard with the man holding what appears to be a pistol.
No arrests yet. Also in Middle Tennessee, wildlife officials say a black bear found dead in Sumner County had been hit by a vehicle last night. The 190-pound yearling found alongside Vietnam Veterans Boulevard in Gallatin near exit 14. Authorities say this is the same bear that was first spotted in Bethpage on May 26th. That was the first bear sighting in the area in over a decade. Elsewhere in Rutherford County, there's a pet zebra still on the loose. Channel 4 spoke to a woman who video recorded it running along a road in Christiana, ducking through fences, running through fields and behind homes.
I was shocked for sure, but also in awe, to be that close to this big animal like that. So I was definitely amazed by it and a little bit scared for it as well.
Now, the zebra came from a private breeder in Texas, was brought home by its Tennessee owner on Friday, then reported missing Saturday. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right. Looks like TDOT reporting a disabled vehicle blocking the right lane of 40 eastbound near Charlotte Avenue. In Antioch, police reporting a crash 24 eastbound after Hickory Hollow Parkway. And another crash reported by the Highway Patrol. This is on the left shoulder in Smyrna, 24 eastbound past Almaville Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and let's talk about that European automobile that you've got in the garage that you're looking for a place to help you repair something that's gone wrong with it. Now, if you're just looking at any old standard shop, you've probably smelled the smell. No, I'm not talking about the prices. I'm talking about the literal smell, the stinky that's in an auto repair shop. The average auto repair shop, I should say. You know, smelly, greasy rags, and the waiting area is not up to snuff. You'll never find this at Eurofix. You know, I love this about Aaron Stokes. He just believes that, you know, it's the front porch of the business when you walk into the waiting area. It needs to be clean and tidy and smell nice. And that matters. And it matters at Eurofix. And you'll find the same professionalism on the back side of the job as on the front side, meaning they're never going to overcharge you for what you need. They're never going to oversell you on telling you that you need to do something that you don't need. They take the stink out of European auto repair all the way around. Never any high-pressure sales tactics, 3-year nationwide warranty, free loaner care with every repair appointment, and never pay dealer prices again. Eurofix is in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and Mount Juliet. Go to Eurofix today by going to myyurofix.com. Get it right, Murphy. myyurofix.com, or make the call. 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
The Wellness Institute of Nashville is a one-stop shop for all things back pain, neck pain, knee pain, hip pain, elbow pain. If it hurts on your body, Dr. Kevin Mitchell, Dr. Ashley want to talk with you about alleviating that pain without having to take shots, without having to take pills, and without having to consider surgery. It's what it's all about, right? I mean, obviously, sometimes surgical options are the only options. I've talked about my shoulder surgery that's coming down in the next couple of weeks. But for my lower back pain and really my upper back pain, I relied on spinal decompression, and it works. I'm a testimony to it. And now I've made the switch, like so many others have made, to the Wellness Institute of Nashville. They're simply the best when it comes to pain relief. And they're offering 47% off their non-surgical spinal decompression in honor of our 47th President of the United States of America for all the year 2025. So, go to your consultation. Speak to Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley, and the rest of the team. Allow them to examine you and figure out exactly what's going on, getting advice from you, and then they're going to set to work alleviating your pain. Give them a call at 615-246-5009, 246-5009, or painisbad.com. This is Matt Murphy, and the Wellness Institute of Nashville has my seal of approval. Matt, it sounds like you need a little Pink Floyd in your life. We don't need no education.
No, sir.
Okay. Hey, do people like that last guy, and I promised I would read this so that I could ask you, Weber, because I don't know the answer to this question. Do people like that last guy try to call back and, get the last word in, like, 30 times or so when they're that angry?
Mike did not call back.
Oh, well, Mike, love you, buddy. Maybe calling radio shows is not for you. I wasn't trying to argue with Mike. Just for the record, I'll try to argue with a lot of people and do on occasion. I was just trying to help Mike out because Mike said they're gone for the summer. Well,
yeah, he made it sound like they've already left.
Yeah, well, here's the deal, Ken. Mike put me in an awkward position of defending the United States Senate, which I'm very uncomfortable doing.
Yeah, you had to defend them.
I mean,
he turned it around on you.
Hey, maybe that was the goal. He's like, I'll get Murphy. Watch. Murphy's going to just suck up to the House of Representatives and the Senate. Watch him. He loves that Congress, which is the opposite of progress. No, they're in session. The idea, and I'm not saying they're going to get it done or not, and I am on record. The House version of the, quote, big, beautiful bill is crappy, needs to be repaired, needs to cut more. This is as much as you're going to get, and if we can't get on a path to fiscal solvency in terms of a balanced budget, I don't expect it this year. I don't even expect it next year, but I expect it down the road. Show me how it's going to work, and not in 20 years, in like 3, okay? 3 years ought to be enough. Well, this bill that got to the Senate doesn't do that. I expect that people like Marsha Blackburn, Bill Hagerty, and others are going to demand more cuts out of the Senate. The Senate is the more deliberative body, and typically they're more of the, quote, establishment body when it comes to spending money. They're not exactly the physical restraint that you would want in Washington, D.C. But this time around, I think it's flipped. We need a more disciplined bill coming out of the Senate. It will go to reconciliation. And then you force those namby-pamby, purplish, blue state Republicans to put their money where their mouth is. It's time to face the music. If you love this country and if you understand that our debt and deficits are going to ruin this nation, it's the greatest enemy that we face from within, then those namby-pamby, purple state Republicans need to make the concession. Not me, not you, and not conservatives. Them. Let's see them do it. All right. That's what I have to say about that. It's 42 after the hour. It's time to talk about nincompoops.
All right.
Yeah. We missed you, Weaver.
Nincompoops in the
I got a good
one. Ken, you want to tell him or you want me to tell him, Weber?
Well, I'll tell him if you want to.
I mean,
what?
Jay kicked our butt last week.
Brother Jay Harper.
I'm telling you.
Ken, News Closet B was undefeated last week. 3-0-1 because he was disqualified the one day that he didn't win because it was a story that had already been done.
Oh.
That'll get you DQ'd. But other than that, he just swept the table with us.
Brother Jay Harper.
Whipped us. Now, maybe there's a little thumb sucking going on, but I think there was a little sympathy voting happening. I mean, I'm just going to say that. Wait, Weber, is that fair?
Yeah, maybe, but
that's a good story.
Yeah, he was pretty strong with the stories.
Pretty good. So you got shoes to fill in there, Weaver.
Rats.
Shoes to fill. Rats. Oh man, if you got a story about rats, that'd be pretty good.
Well, now I'm under pressure.
Well, I'll tell you what. You get to pick first or last.
I'll go first.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Y'all
Weaver
ready?
back from vacay.
All right. Drunk, naked Florida woman.
Oh, well, here we go.
Wielding a peeler knife, barges into a racetrack.
Ooh, a peeler knife.
Threatens to kill the staff, according to deputies. 35-year-old Celia Barrett had just been told to leave the store. Then, after taking 6 shots of liquor, returned naked, waving the sharp-edged peeler corer and threatening staff with it. She did not request any money from the cashier. She just screamed and waved the peeler at everyone, even the general manager. I'm going to kill him, she allegedly screamed, but lowered the weapon and walked away, knocking down a display of about 50 Red Bull drinks and destroying a carton of cigarettes, which is counterproductive if you just had 6 shots of liquor. Deputies responded. As she was being taken into custody, she apparently began, never mind.
Uh-oh.
I can't say that.
Is that good?
Did it involve touching?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
herself or others?
Herself. She went to jail.
Oh well, that's what happened.
And apparently, they of course confiscated the peeler. She didn't have that in the jail.
They'll always come for the peeler.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Anyway, so that's my story.
Anywhere in the story, does it, what kind of shots were we taking?
Just said liquor.
I'm hoping it was, Fireball. Right.
How many shots did she say it was?
6.
6?
Yeah.
Would 6 get it done? I don't know.
Depends on how
Fireball?
big the glass is.
Might not with Fireball, but, I don't know.
Maybe she's a lightweight.
Well,
what do you
Didn't
think?
sound like one.
So they told her to leave, and she did, and then started drinking. Do you think, like, by the 3rd shot, that's whenever she started thinking, I'm going to go back there?
Oh, dang it.
I think it built. Each shot just pushed her a little further over the edge.
I don't know which is annoying me more. Them people at that store or the fact that I'm hot?
And these damn potatoes ain't going to peel themselves.
Listen, I'm going to peel a potato, but I'm going to take off my top first. But then, gosh, them people at that store.
I'm going to show them.
I think that could be the TV movie. Yeah. Accurate storytelling.
0785. How much you been drinking before those 6 shots? Well,
That's true.
Sally says, I'm going to skin you.
I love Sally's comments.
Sally's pretty good. 2100 wants to know if there are photos attached to that story. See, here's the anytime you talk about I don't bother you with most of this, Weaver, but when you talk about naked people,
I know.
If it's a naked woman, I got 14 dudes in the super text line, automatic.
They want to see what she
They
looks like.
want to know what she looks like.
Well,
because it really does kind of change how I feel about the story. I mean, I'm sorry.
She's got blue eyes.
Oh, well.
And blonde hair, looks real good with that orange jumpsuit. So she's not naked in this photo, but she does look determined. She does look like she was mad.
Y'all stole my peeler.
I bet you that's how she called it. I bet you that's what it is, too. It's not a peeler. She called it a paler.
Y'all stole my paler. Mad at it.
35-year-old Celia Barrett.
I want that paler back. Speaking of people enjoying solo company, I'll go next. That's a good one. And y'all don't give Weaver the win just yet, just because he's back from vacay. Us hardworking folks have got nincompoops too, like the man who admitted to sexually gratifying himself with pool floats.
Goodness.
And has pleaded guilty to a months-long burglary spree that netted him dozens of inflatable partners.
Oh.
According to court records. Why'd I get a no? He didn't get a no. It's some naked chick screaming with a peeler in her hand. She got a ha-ha. I get a no. He's just got a little inflatable flamingo that he's dating.
Something.
Well, it's because he's a guy. This is sexist. In a deal with Florida prosecutors, Christopher Monin, 41, copped to theft and burglary charges on the eve of his scheduled June 2nd criminal trial in Brevard County. While such felony convictions typically carry stiff penalties, Morin's plea deal resulted in a downward departure in part because he, quote, this is sad, requires specialized treatment for mental disorders that have nothing to do with substance abuse or addiction. It's a little sad. Yeah, I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at his mugshot. His eyes are a little too close to one another. You know what I'm saying? A judge sentenced Monin to 2 years of community control, which is an intensive form of probation that compares to house arrest. He will be placed on standard probation for 8 additional months. Morin, who was fined $840, spent 8 months in a county jail before being released on bond. His case has dragged on for years, began following a 1:30 a.m. suspicious person call and arrest by Palm Bay police. The cop spotted Morin riding a bicycle and carrying a white garbage bag full of what he identified as deflated pool floats. Since Palm Bay has been plagued with burglaries in which the suspect cuts the screen or otherwise enters a victim's back pool area. You know, they got a lot of those screens on pools in Florida. You have to because of gators, right?
That's right.
In part, and skeeters probably. But yeah, well, in this case, it was this dude. Morin was identified as a prime suspect. During police questioning, Monin reportedly admitted burglarizing several residences and swiping, his words now, I'm quoting, many, many floats. Monin directed investigators to a vacant house across the street from his Palm Bay residence where he stored the floats. In a detailed police report, police found 75 pool floats in the house.
Wow.
Including a lounge chair with cup holders, a duck float, a watermelon float, a float shaped like a piece of bacon. He had also stolen a Shaquille O'Neal branded Shaq inflatable lounger.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
Monin, whose home did not have a pool.
I like how they put that in. Reportedly told police that, I'm going to clean this up a little, that
he receives sexual gratification with the floats.
Oh, my.
Goodness.
And prior to his May 29th float deal, he had been convicted of burglary, theft, loitering, and prowling. Got us a prowler, boys. And he will be off the streets for the foreseeable future. There you go. There's my float guy.
Everyone's pool is safe for now.
Well, let us hope. Safe from, float stealers.
That guy.
Yeah.
All right. Mine is a little strange. A woman has claimed that she's been battling an infection for 7 years, and she blames her ex-boyfriend. Christine Connell, is a travel influencer that says it all goes back to a passing action that took place in a hotel room 7 years ago. Speaking on TikTok, as influencers do, Christine spoke about her ex-boyfriend and how he got the ultimate breakup revenge on her. She explained that she had a stuffy nose and facial pain since the incident, which happened after she had ankle surgery. Immobile and laying in bed, her boyfriend at the time, quote, farted terribly to the point where she, quote, couldn't breathe as a result of the stink.
Dutch oven.
While it was something gross to experience, she didn't see it having long-term effects on her life until a culture sample was taken from her nose.
No.
Numerous medical professionals couldn't work out the cause of the infection, but she finally announced the results of the culture test in a video, saying it's E. coli.
Was her boyfriend Eric Swalwell?
She points out that E. coli comes from poop, adding, quote, so I don't know, how does that get into your sinuses unless you have a boyfriend who farts disgustingly and you're forced to inhale it because you are immobile after ankle surgery?
Oh, no.
She followed up saying that it happened while he was changing, with her lying on the bed and with her ankle elevated. His butt was facing me, and that's when the fart happened, saying that she was just in the path of the fart. She suggested that her immune system may have been focused on healing her ankle, and that if she was healthy, it might not have happened. Also saying,
what?
When I say it was the worst fart I'd ever smelled in my life, I truly mean that. This lady's blaming her infection in her sinus on her boyfriend farting in her face.
Yeah.
I got one question for you, Weber. Who's the nincompoop?
Well, I can tell you. Christine Connell is the nincompoop.
Oh, my.
That's just the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Blaming a fart for an infection.
I don't understand how that would. I don't think that works that way.
I don't think it does
Goodness.
I mean, that's.
But I'm not a TikTok influencer. So.
Look, that's more. I mean, they say sometimes it's more than just. You know what I'm saying? That would have to be more than just.
Mm-hmm.
If it's more than a.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Sound like a pond full of bullfrogs.
I feel like those are 3 Hall of Famers right there. That's how you do. That's how you do nincompoops in the news for a Monday edition. You get to vote on that, folks. 615-737-9986. Is it Weber? Is it Weaver? Is it Murphy? Nincompoop voting starts right now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Back after this. Are you tired of those things that make your back lawn less pleasurable? I mean, I'm talking like weeds, obviously, undesirable green things in your backyard. Well, let's talk about Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply, because whether it's weeds, whether it's lawn care needs, maybe it's just easy to apply solutions for insects in the backyard. Whether you're trimming bushes, cutting grass, or just trying to keep weeds at bay, they've got it all at Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. It's that time of year, right? If you're a seasoned pro or a homeowner seeking advice, they're your one-stop shop for all things parts, products, and supplies at Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. We invite you to go where the pros go. Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. When you're looking for quality parts and products and the best advice around, there's only one stop to shop, and that is Dickens. Right? Like, Here's the deal. Don't trust the big box people, especially when it comes to advice. You need to go where you know you're getting the right information, and that is Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. Plus, they have all of the tools necessary to keep the lawn satisfactory over the summertime months. Locations in Nashville, Bellevue, Murfreesboro, Brentwood, Mower, Hendersonville, Mount Juliet, and Franklin. Online at DickensSupply.com. That's DickensSupply.com.
6 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Nashville, listen to all the gunshots someone's security camera captured early this morning outside an Airbnb in the Cumberland Heights neighborhood. At least one person injured, no arrests. Neighbors there on Fern Avenue say they sure do wish there would be an arrest soon. They're terrified. Elsewhere in Middle Tennessee, News 2 says authorities have identified the man connected to the Columbia shooting as Byron Childers. A shooting this weekend, that is, which left 2 people dead and 1 person injured. Childers being held without bond on 2 counts of first-degree murder, several other charges. No additional details, including what led to the shooting. Police ask anyone with information to reach out to their investigations division. Colorado officials revealing more details on the suspected terror suspect who firebombed a crowd yesterday. Officials saying he revealed some of the planned attack. Here's ABC's Alex Stone.
Prosecutors are saying that Mohammed Solomon, told police that he dressed up like a gardener here to blend in so nobody would suspect anything, that he bought the bottles at Target to fill them with fuel that he bought while driving from Colorado Springs to here in Boulder.
45-year-old Mohammed Solomon charged with federal hate crimes on top of state charges of attempted murder. And the latest data breach is a big one, maybe the biggest. ABC's Jim Ryan says it should serve as a reminder to anyone with an Apple device, a Facebook presence, or a Google account.
It's time to change your passwords and update your devices. A massive data breach that compromised more than 184 million passwords is being called a cyber criminal's dream. Online researchers say the leak affected everything from email accounts to social media logins to bank accounts. The problem? The file containing all that sensitive information was itself not password protected.
That database containing the information discovered by security researcher Jeremiah Fowler, and not clear where or how the data was collected. Back here in Middle Tennessee, Mount Juliet city leaders advancing a plan for 400 multi-million-dollar homes on 400 acres just west of 109 between Lebanon Road, Beckwith Road, and Bass Lane. The Tennessean says prices for these homes will range from $1 million to $5 million. It's passed the first of 2 votes, with the second vote possible at the June 23rd City Commission meeting in Mount Juliet. The big concern among some area residents is traffic, although part of the deal includes a widening project and traffic signal. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Metro Police reporting a crash 24 eastbound after Hickory Hollow Parkway in Antioch. A disabled vehicle reported by TDOT. I-40 eastbound near Charlotte Avenue. Then the Highway Patrol says there is a crash on the left shoulder. It is blocking the left shoulder there, 24 eastbound past Almaville Road in Smyrna. And then back here in Nashville near the airport, police reporting a crash at Donaldson Pike and Murfreesboro Pike. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I promised you I would update you on the latest on this Boulder, Colorado attack. We will do so. Anti-Semitism is real, and across the United States of America, we've allowed far too many radical Muslims in this country without knowledge of who they are, where they are, and what their plans are for the United States of America. We will discuss coming up in just a couple of minutes. No matter how much you hate the mainstream media, you don't hate them enough. So let me get this straight. And once again, I'm not commenting on whether or not you agreed with or whether or not you believe that he could be this effective this quickly. But there's no question that Donald Trump has come into office, and with the same resources as Joe Biden, he has shut down the southern border effectively. There are still crossings, obviously. There are still problems, obviously. He wants to continue to build that border wall. But it has clearly had an impact on the number of individuals being able to come in here illegally. Well, you shut the border down, and you stop a lot of the drug traffic that goes on at the southern border as well. You stop the drug trafficking from the southern border, and naturally people are going to have less access to drugs. The fewer people that have access to drugs, the fewer overdoses that you will see. And so this headline is of no surprise to us in the Washington Post. You cannot hate these people enough. From May 31st, just 2 days ago. The mysterious drop in fentanyl seizure on the southern U.S.-Mexico border. The reasons behind the decrease of fentanyl seizures in the United States and along the Mexico-U.S. border are complex. Maybe we'll get into the meat and potatoes of the article because I pay for this clap, so you don't have to. It is the final hour of the Super Talk Murphy Show, and we welcome back to the broadcast. It's been a hot minute since we've had the opportunity to speak to our next guest. We absolutely love her work at Based Politics. Hannah Cox is president and co-founder of said same. She's also the owner of Athens Media, and she comes on with me today to talk about a subject that we've been discussing quite a bit over the last several weeks, and that is the Tennessee Valley Authority. Hannah joins us via Zoom for those of you watching on Talk TV. Hannah, good afternoon. How are you?
Good. Great to be with you as always.
And it's always a pleasure to talk with you. I was a little bit surprised that we connected and you reached out and said, I want to talk about TVA. I need to talk about TVA. I've got to talk about TVA. Let's go. Let's do it. What are your give me your overview on this.
I caught your segment with John Rich, and I was like, tap me in, boss. I want to talk about this, too. It was fantastic.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Matt, I think you and anybody who's followed me for a long time knows that I hate one person in American history above all others, and that is FDR, and TVA is one of his worst lasting legacies. I spent almost 13 years living in Nashville. I now live in Georgia, where we also have some aspects of the TVA, where we're under control, and it is just an atrocious entity. I'm fed up. I'm fed up with many of the utilities across the country in the United States where we have seen our governments give these people a monopoly for decades and decades. They have used it to abuse their consumers. They have run up the prices. The quality of the service just keeps getting worse and worse. They're enriching themselves. And then worst of all, recently, they're pushing this Trojan horse of green energy, trying to pursue types of energy, they're simply not going to be sufficient to provide the amount of energy we need for our population, much less if it continues to grow. And they don't care. They continue dumping money into those endeavors versus focusing on what they're actually supposed to be dedicating their time to, which is first and foremost just delivering the product that people are forced to buy from them, but secondarily starting to work on developing nuclear energy. And so I love what I'm seeing happen right now, because among wonky people, nerdy people like you and me in politics, we've hated the TVA for some time, but it was never one of those issues that really got mainstream attention for one reason or another. But lately, seeing what Trump is coming in and cleaning house over there, really putting a spotlight on all of the corruption, all of the outsourcing of our jobs that were supposed to be created here to overseas countries, many times our foreign enemies. He's put a stop to that. I love seeing the op-eds recently from the Tennessee senators calling for more reform. So it really feels like there's momentum building on this, and it's starting to actually break into the mainstream. And I think that's very exciting, because this is something that has needed attention for a very long time.
Well, as someone, and Hannah does, as someone who refers to herself as a rabid capitalist, which I absolutely love, and I'm a fierce independent and a libertarian, meaning that I hate the concept of not allowing the free market to work itself out in any endeavor. The government should only be involved in those things which cannot be solved by the free market. And for the life of me, I don't know why more conservatives aren't speaking out about TVA as it exists, because not only do they not seem to care about the needs of their consumers, they run roughshod and always have over the consumers that they claim to protect and that they claim to serve. And secondarily, they're now getting into arenas that they have absolutely no business in. And I don't know if you know about the TVA's reach into broadband service, Hannah, or not, but it's like this is not even a part of your foundational document that you get into broadband service, but here we are.
Well, right. I mean, you can't even deliver the product that you're tasked with delivering efficiently. Why would we give you another very essential service to get to the American people? It's ludicrous. And it makes absolutely no sense. If you can't do one thing well, you certainly shouldn't be entrusted with two things. So across the country, this is a huge issue, but TVA is the largest utility in the country. It takes up space in 7 different states. You've got millions of Americans who are forced into using it. And despite the fact that it not only continues to create blackouts and jack up its prices, it still gets that monopoly power. It can abuse people. It can have all kinds of corruption, which it has over the years, right? There's been countless scandals involving the TVA where they've actually really hurt people, made them sick, sometimes even perhaps led to their ultimate deaths. And yet they still continue to exist. You would never see that in an actual market economy. And, I'm not going to say that the private entities are perfect in this regard. Obviously, people oftentimes have issues with some of those providers as well. But it's unquestionable when you compare the two, which one is actually providing the service that it claims it exists to provide, which one's better, and which one is at least still going to be privy to market forces. It's going to have to compete with other entities. It's going to have to at least outcompete on prices and services for others in the area. The TVA doesn't have to do that. So this is an organization that would, under no circumstances, still exist had it been a free market organization. But because it's a government monopoly, they get away with highway robbery.
Well, and it's infuriating, particular to the dynamics of the Cheatham County situation as an example, but there are many, many other examples of this. The TVA comes in, they offer these perfunctory listening sessions where they claim to care about what people have to say. But as has been exposed time and time again, they've already decided what they're going to do. They don't really care what you have to say, and they feel like there is zero that the consumer and the individuals that they're impacting can do about it.
And they're not wrong, right? They're absolutely not wrong. And we see how they've abused that kind of power. I think it's obvious if they were given the ability to operate broadband, they would do the same thing, and that would really hurt people in rural communities. So I think it's atrocious. I think it's completely ridiculous that they would even be in the running for those kinds of contracts and grants. What really needs to happen, and again, what very fortunately does seem to be moving in that direction, is we need to clean house over there. They need new leadership. They need a new board. They need to get people in there who, at the very least, respect the American taxpayers, who respect market forces resources, who are interested in devoting their resources towards energy sources that actually will provide for the demand that we have. They've got to run the left-wing lunatics out of there. And again, this is great progress. We've seen a lot happen just in the past 5 months over there. So I'm very excited about that. This is probably the area under the Trump administration that I'm most excited about. I think his energy agenda is fantastic. I think it's exactly what our economy needs. We've got to get some breathing room in there. It will create tons of good jobs for American working class men, which is something that people are desperate for. Americans want to be involved in building things. They want to be involved in powering the economy. They don't want government handouts. They're not looking to be on the government dime, but they want to be able to go out and pursue their version of the American dream. And I think Trump's energy agenda is going to do that. And reforming the TVA is a big part of that, particularly in the Southeast.
So how much of this do you believe? I mean, I think some of it is a structural issue, just consistent with any monopoly, particularly a utility like TVA. But how much do you believe the problems existed under the previous CEO, Jeff Lyash? Lyash obviously knew the writing was on the wall when Trump won election in November. He was not planning on resigning. He decided to resign. He gave himself until the end of 2025, and then it became obvious through the Trump administration that he's about to get his ass booted out anyway. And so he goes ahead and resigns, and they bring in a new guy, I guess Dave Mole, I believe is his name. So how much do you believe? I mean, because Lyash seemed to be all in on green. And part of the issue that I have with the Cheatham County effort is that we're closing down existing coal plants under the footprint of TVA for the purpose of opening up what is a methane plant. And the TVA people got on my butt because I kept calling it a methane plant, and they said it's natural gas. I said, well, what do you think natural gas is? That's what it is. I mean, let's call it what it is. Look, I don't have issue with methane generally speaking or natural gas generally speaking. I have issue with the monopoly taking over because they are so anti-coal. How much of this was Lyash, and how much of it do you think could be repaired when Trump eventually gets around to appointing the 5 open seats that are on the board?
Well, I think a lot of it can be repaired. I think leadership matters. I think you've had unelected bureaucrats who have been paying themselves sky-high salaries with no accountability. Again, no spotlight. This is just something people don't pay attention to because it's dry and it's wonky. And even when it is something that impacts them, they don't always necessarily understand the root cause of why that is or what's happening behind the scenes. So I do think that just Trump coming in alone and spotlighting this and elevating it, he has this really great ability to take these niche issues and get the American people to care about them. And so I think that Sunlight can do a lot. I think that that's exciting. But, to try to pin it all on the previous CEO, I think also is short-sighted. This is an agency that has had problems for decades and decades. And have they been compounding over time? Of course, the longer you have a monopoly, the worse that monopoly is going to get. But I think that as a whole, it is partly part of the nature of monopolies. And I think without a strong man really putting pressure on government monopolies and bureaucrats to perform, it's unlikely that you're going to see them really ever meet the private competitors. So, I think that good things can happen under Trump. I think that we're moving in a great direction. I do fear once Trump is gone after 4 years that you might see things quickly revert. So this certainly is not a situation where I would want to see the TVA granted new powers or given new kinds of business deals. I do think a big part of the issue that you've had in recent decades with the TVA is that, like most government agencies, for one reason or another, the bureaucrats that are attracted to it tend to be very left-wing people. They have very left-wing ideologies. And so you had a lot of people at the top who were concerned with moving green energy forward at the expense of literally everything else. And that has been atrocious because I'm supportive of free market options to address the climate, but they have to be pragmatic and they have to be laid out in a transitory fashion to where we have stepping stones to slowly progress off of things like coal. That cannot happen overnight. And really what happens when we try to force it is that we end up just sending those emissions overseas to our foreign competitors. Because when you look at who fills that void, when we prevent America from competing on that front, our competitors like Russia and Venezuela, their exports are far less clean than ours. And so what we really should be doing, ironically enough, if you care about the climate, is empowering American oil and gas to first and foremost export what they currently have, to continue to develop develop new technologies that could help us progress faster off of those old energy sources. They should be absolutely investing in nuclear, which I think it's fantastic that Trump is so focused on that. I think Tennessee's governor seems to be very focused on that. That's exactly the right way to approach this. But that's not what the TVA has been doing. They've been completely fumbling the ball on the nuclear agenda because they were so focused on these green initiatives, which, as you and I both know, are mostly just a Trojan horse for socialism. There was never any chance that we were going to fully move over to wind and solar and be able to meet the needs of the population. But again, they didn't care. They were willing to have blackouts. They were willing to tell people that they had to consume less energy, that they couldn't have their needs met when they needed it, and that they would have to pay a higher price in the process versus doing what they needed to do to actually develop a plan to smartly move forward. So I don't know what the long form prognosis is for the TVA. I certainly think there's encouraging things happening right now, but I think that people have to keep their foot on the gas here. And I think that we should, again, be trying to force them to focus on the power that they currently have, actually performing for the people that are forced to use them as consumers. And I don't think that we should be looking at extending their authority or the areas that they oversee.
No question about it. President and co-founder of Base Politics. She owns Athens Media. She is Hannah Cox, our guest, talking about generally the TVA and more specifically this Cheatham County deal. You mentioned nuke and small modular nuclear power is where to go. I mean, in my opinion, in my limited, I don't pretend to be the expert on this, but I've probably done more research than most. And for the life of me, I cannot understand why we don't have more politicians and more entities in favor of and vocalizing their favorite type of energy for the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And it is, I mean, I'm all about oil and gas for the short term. I'm all about doing everything we can to promote free markets when it comes to renewable sources. That's all well and good. If they can find a way to make money on it, more power to them. But nuke is where it's at to me. You?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no question. We cannot progress off of things like coal without nuclear. It is a fantasy world. It is a childlike mentality for people to suggest otherwise. That is the only option on the table. And I frankly think that it's a bit sad and disappointing just how limp-wristed so many of our leaders have been around this. Yes, of course, you have to assuage concerns around nuclear. Yes, of course, there is somewhat of a threat around it, but it can be done safely. I think that has been proven out, and we need to do a better job messaging that, informing people, educating them around that, addressing the fears and concerns that they have. I also think, though, as a whole, that those fears and concerns are even overblown. I don't think this is something that the average American is really all that informed on or thinks that deeply about or really even knows that it's, happening in their backyard. And so I feel like it's just been a lack of political will and a lack of intentionality. I think many people on the right have kind of been asleep at the wheel. They've let the left come in and take this issue and run with it. And instead of taking it back and saying, you know what, you're right, we have to be good stewards of the climate. We need to be good stewards of our resources. We need to ensure that we are leaving a better world for our children. All of these are conservative values, but because it got branded like more left wing, they instead have been doing this like denialism thing or this, just don't want to touch it at all. And I think that that's been really short-sighted. Now we're fortunately seeing people start to wake up and realize that this is something the right can and should be leading on, because there are actual solutions that are under our ideology that will do a far better job of actually creating a better world in the future. And again, of even creating more clean energy right now, because we've let the left push this narrative that something's wrong with American oil and gas and that something's wrong with what we're doing. We've let people shame us and make us feel bad. When again, if you look at what our energy sector has already done, we are running circles around the rest of the world in this regard. I mean, we already are the leaders on climate reform and actually taking care of the world, and we should be proud of that. And I think that there's just, there's kind of a void. There's been a void of...
And not to interrupt you, but for the do-gooders, I mean, and I say that with love, for those that genuinely believe that utilizing coal as an energy source is somehow killing the world, I would say to them, no amount of energy reduction in the coal on the coal footprint in America is going to change what you believe is killing the earth if you don't get a handle on China. And we don't control the rest of the globe, and India for that matter. And for that reason alone, we need to be energy competitive with those nations and advance the cause of finding new sources of energy for the long-term future. That's my opinion.
Absolutely. No notes, Matt. 100% agreed.
Love it. Listen, Hannah, great stuff as always. I invite people to follow you, Hannah D. Cox, if they don't already. Love your follow on the X Machine. Thank you for everything. Where else can people find you? If you Substack, I assume?
Well, thanks so much, Matt. I love and appreciate your work as well. They can find me at Hannah D. Cox on just about every social media platform. I also did just restart my Substack, so if they want to head over, they can find the links right at the top of my Twitter, or I think they can just search Hannah Cox on Substack as well.
And you're highlighting on your X Machine, and I absolutely love it. If there was yet another reason to love our man Donald Trump, he's stopping the animal testing. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yes. Yeah, that's been
100%.
incredible. We've seen a record number of these contracts that we were funding, taxpayer-funded contracts to torture animals in China, right? We're still doing the same stuff we did before the pandemic, same kind of research, same kind of corruption, and Trump has just come in and cleaned house. The White Coat Waste Project is an organization I'm a fellow for that has been highlighting these contracts, shedding light on them, and elevating them, and working with the Trump administration to cut those dollars. So people should definitely check them out as well if they're interested in those issues.
Hannah, as always, thank you for the conversation. We'll do it again soon.
Thanks so much, Matt.
Right, take care. There's Hannah Cox. We'll be back in a moment. It's 26 after the hour on Super Talk. All right, friends. So let's say that you've lost a little energy, and you're a fellow, right? For you guys out there that have felt a loss of energy in your 40s and maybe into your 50s, do you know why? It's possible that it is an easy fix, and there's an easy solution available for you at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. I talk about it all the time. I remind you all the time that it's a personal matter, and I understand that. Their urologists are professional, they're discreet, and they will get to the bottom of what your issue might be. And if it's a T-level issue, they're going to solve that thing jiffy quick. Now, obviously, their urologists are going to go over your entire body, take a little blood work, and you get answers the day that you go to visit. You don't have to wait for days or sometimes weeks in some clinics. You get an answer that day as to what is going on and exactly what the plan of action will be for you to course correct. That could be intimacy in the bedroom. It could be energy levels, not wanting to go to the gym, not feeling like doing jobs outside, or whatever it might be. Let's get with the program. Men, let's put this behind us. Go to the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Give them a call and schedule that appointment. Do not wait on this. TennesseeMen'sClinic.com online, TennesseeMen'sClinic.com, or call 615-208-9090. 208-9090 for our friends at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. I wanted to play this Pride lady in Target, and I can't for the life of me remember if she cusses or not. I mean, odds are yes, right?
Want me to take a listen to it? She probably does.
Yeah, it's on my, you can find it. Let's see. Oh, I got another piece of audio to play you that is even better. Yeah, it's on. It's right. Oh, it's right beneath the. Did you see the thing that I posted? If you follow the X Machine at Matt Murphy Show, the Royal Dutch Airlines celebration of Pride Month. Have you seen this?
Oh, I have not.
So, it's a Royal Dutch Airlines post at KLM, and it says, "It doesn't matter who you click with. Happy Pride Amsterdam," and it's got a pride flag. And it's seatbelts, right? And they're being cute. There's one seatbelt where there's the slot, and there's the the thing that goes. I don't want to do it on TV. Like,
yeah, let's not.
But there's the harness, and there's the receiver, and the little buckle thing that snaps.
Sure.
Y'all know airplane seatbelts, right?
Yeah.
So there's that one, and remember the straps are all rainbow flags.
Of course. Yeah.
All right. And then there's another one where it's just two. What are those called? There's the receiver, and then there's the
mail end. Say
that's a great. Thank you, Chris.
Of course, they would never say that.
Best dadgum producer in the business. They've got two. They got a male to male thing, so they've got 3 different seatbelts that you see. One is male and female, one is male and male, and one is female and female.
Yeah.
And it says, it doesn't matter who you click with. Happy Pride, Amsterdam. Well, damn right it matters if you're on a plane. There's only one of those that are going to work.
I'm pretty sure 2 of those sets won't click together.
No. I promise you that only one set, one of those seatbelts will accomplish the stated purpose of the seatbelt.
You're going to tie it in a knot?
I don't know what they're doing in there. Ask Glenn Greenwald for that. And if you don't know the Glenn Greenwald story, don't ask me. Go somewhere else for it. I don't care. My name's Bennett, and I ain't in it. A lot of people are going after Glenn. He's a reporter, and I don't know. I don't know what's going on over there, and don't really want to. Ben, I know this has been holding on for way too long. Ben, I will hand you the floor, sir, the microphone, and anything else I can give you for your patience. Thank you. Maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe Ben left. Maybe Ben's still there, but he has fallen asleep. He held for so long, I'm going to give him additional time because perhaps he's off in the kitchen making dinner, and the phone's over here on the other side of the room, and there's a speaker involved, and Ben can hear him, and he's like, no, don't go anywhere. No? Ben? Hello, Ben? Ben going once?
Hope he didn't fall asleep.
I think he probably did. Let's see what we hear.
No, that's
Ben. Hey,
Ooh,
it worked. It worked. Hey, Ben.
Yeah, I had my mute button on.
Oh, God bless you, Ben. I'm glad you held as long as you did, and I'm glad that we played around with the phone until you got here. What's on your mind, Ben?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to thank you for being a straight shooter and putting the word out there, brother.
Well, thank you, Ben. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. I hope some of your state legislators are listening to this conversation because I think what I'm going to tell you is pretty important. I told you I want to talk about water conversation or
saving water. Yeah.
Anyway, I've been working these tilt wall buildings for about the last 15 years, and these buildings are, 1 million, 2 million square feet, and the amount of water that comes off of these buildings is massive. And they build these retention ponds, and what they do is they come in and they blast the rock, and then they put shot rock under them. So they become little ponds that the water just stands in and becomes mosquito ponds. And, so most of the water evaporates in the air, so it goes to Texas or who knows. But my idea is codes and Metro needs to require them to build a silo and a pumping station to recover that water that comes off all of these buildings. They're massive, and they're all in the rural county.
Ben, I might have missed it. What buildings are we talking about?
We're talking about Amazon, Cardinal Health.
Oh, I see. Just large industrial-sized buildings is what you're referring to.
Exactly, and it's a massive amount of water, and most of them are in rural counties. And they use they're on city water to run sprinklers to sprinkle their grass in these massive developments. So that's a big burden on these little local utility companies. So if they required them to have a recovery system and use that water to sprinkle their developments, that would be a huge relief to these little companies that don't have a whole lot of water. Like talking about, when you talking about Columbia, and by the way, I am a full believer that dam needs to be there for the Duck River. I'm a full supporter of that.
So,
but yeah, I mean,
your point is that. I'm sorry.
The city of Laverne, it's a warehouse just mecca. There's nothing there. It's all warehouse built of roofs. There's no ground there, so the water does not go in the ground. It goes on these roofs. It's ridiculous.
Well, where does it go when it leaves the roof?
Well, I mean, it goes in the retention ponds. But what I'm telling you is, these retention ponds that they dig, all the site they blast that, and then you got all blast rock underneath the retention ponds, and the water just builds up, and it just sits there and evaporates into the atmosphere and goes to Texas or somewhere else. I don't know.
and so you want to have government to force these businesses to collect the water?
Yes, just for their sprinkler system. Because that's a massive amount of water to water 20,000 acres of a development.
You know, I don't know enough about. I'll tell you, Ben, I don't know enough about commercial development. I don't know enough about what you're talking about to have a comment either way. I don't know what would prevent them from being able to do that. I don't know if it would be. I mean, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? It would seem to me that if that was an easy fix, that they would already be doing it because it would save them money in the process. Because if they're using municipal water to water their grass or their property, that's costing them a tremendous amount of money.
Well, that's not the issue. The issue is this local little utility companies have to come up with all this water to water their 20,000 acre development when they could be doing it themselves. So the cost is probably about the same.
Well, they're a consumer just like you. I mean, why wouldn't the government then? I mean, I'm just asking the question, Ben. Why would we stop at companies? Why wouldn't we force Ben to collect his rainwater to water his grass?
Well, I'd expect God to water my grass.
No. We're going to force you to collect the water from your roof and reuse that water too. Why wouldn't we do that?
Well, that'd be fine with me because I've already thought about it.
Well, it's going to cost. It's going to cost you money, though. I mean, it's going to cost you money, and you already pay money to utilize municipal water. I'm just kind of putting it back on you. I mean, why wouldn't the businesses? I don't understand why I don't know. I mean, I would have to research it, but I mean, it's not a bad thought. I mean, if the business could
lives in track, I'm not talking about saving money. I'm talking about saving water.
I'm talking to you about the free. Listen to me, Ben. Listen to me, Ben. Listen to me, Ben. I'm talking to you about the companies saving money, and if a company is in the business of earning a profit, any opportunity that company would have to save money, I would expect that they're going to seize on that opportunity. So I'm suggesting that it would seem to me to be advantageous to the company in a monetary saving effort for that for-profit business to collect the rainwater. Anyway, I'm agreeing with you in a way.
Okay, but you're kind of missing the point there, Matt. It wasn't about saving money.
Well, the point is my point is this, Ben. I'll offer you a counterpoint. If those companies are so stretched on water, then they don't need to allow those large companies to come into their communities without a master plan for water usage, or allow those companies to use municipal water to water their property to begin with. That's on the municipality, right?
Yeah, I think you're right there.
Okay.
But what I'm talking about is just saving water for the little small utility companies that may not can keep up with all this massive development that we got going on over here. We're fixing to build 7 buildings in Clarksville. That's it's gonna be massive. We're building 7 buildings in Laverne. We're building another brand new Amazon by the right.
Last I checked, that those businesses pay taxes too, though. I mean, the alternative is to just not give them a permit and don't don't let those businesses come in.
Well, what I think it is a smarter way to control the rainwater. I mean, use the rainwater to sprinkle your grass on your 20,000 acre.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of those bigger companies, I thought they did that, but I could be completely wrong. I don't know, but I'm not against it. I'm against conservation where conservation is possible. I absolutely love it, and I think there's a way to nudge those businesses in the right direction. I would agree with that.
Yeah, I thought, it's just, I see all that water running out of these gutters. I'm like, it's such a waste. They could collect this and sprinkle all these grass that they're using city water for by themselves. And it would take the burden off the local little small utility company.
Ben, I like the way you're thinking, brother. I'm going to do some research on it. I'll figure it out. Thank you for the telephone call. I like to encourage all God's creatures to be good conservationists. I loved Teddy Roosevelt, and he was a conservationist. He also liked hunting animals and killing them. It's 49 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll get to Larry and maybe you. We've got another segment to go, and we'll get to it right after this. Hey, friends, Cover Nash wants you to know how much you are overspending on your health care plan. Why don't you call Shane Ring? All right, first off, I know Shane. I've sat down with him in his office in Brentwood. He is not a call center. Secondarily, I know that Shane is never, ever going to pressure you into trying to do something that he wants you to do. He's going to inform you about the right way to do things and allow you to make a decision about what is best for you. That information, with that knowledge comes power. Call Shane and talk to him about your health coverage. I understand that it's a complex issue. I understand that it's something that maybe you don't want to deal with. But what if I told you, and Shane has told me this, that you could be losing hundreds of dollars a month, and maybe in some cases even more than that. Friends, it is happening every single day in our community. Let's stop this. Let's call Shane Ring and Cover Nash. Don't get taken advantage of. Shop the entirety of the health insurance industry. Find a plan that is in network in most places of business in this state and go to work saving yourself money and manage your health insurance yourself. Don't allow the government to manage it for you. Don't get taken advantage of. Call Shane Ring and Cover Nash. If you have any questions about health insurance, any at all, Shane can answer those with no high-pressure sales tactics. CoverDash.com. That's CoverDash.com or 615-465-0023. 465-0023 for our friends at Cover Dash. Hey, friends, Matt Murphy. Grace Point Healthcare is a one-stop shop for all things primary care for you and your entire family, and I want to tell you about what makes them different. Grace Point Healthcare is a direct pay provider. Now, what does that mean at Grace Point Healthcare? It means you know exactly what you're paying on the front end, and you don't have to wait for your insurance company to tell you exactly what your doctor did and how much they're going to charge you for it. I mean, that's not the way that it should be. It's one of the reasons Grace Point says that they are modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. You know exactly what you're paying up front. You know you're getting exceptional care at an affordable price. You can always apply for your reimbursement through your insurance company after the fact. I mean, that's something that many, many customers at Grace Point do. And there's the basic Smart Care plan, $69 a month, including free office visits and basic labs and diagnostics, all available at Grace Point. Plus, you don't have to wait for weeks on end to get an appointment, oftentimes same day, and certainly next day. Your primary care provider is right there in Franklin. Give them a call at 599-6868, 599-6868. Located, as I mentioned, in the heart of Franklin, affordable and exceptional medicine at your convenience. Grace Point Healthcare, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Murphy, your skin is extremely thin. Begins 5637. Telling someone you're going to educate them who's disagreeing with you and likely much older than you is disrespectful, rude, condescending, and uncalled for. If I might educate you a little bit, better to say something like, hey, better to say something like, quote, hey, I think there's some things you might be missing as far as all the facts. Perhaps I could point some of this out, end quote. Just a suggestion. Note, in real life, people typically don't get to be that much of a smartass to someone, then hang up, getting the last word on the radio. I hang up on everybody. That's just the nature of what we do on talk radio. I mean, sometimes the end of the conversation is a little more pleasant and definitive. Secondarily, I appreciate Mike. Mike is a regular. Mike has been around the block a time or two before, and Mike well knows the drill. Secondarily, if you were listening, and I think I tried twice to say, hey, you might want to know this. I mean, it was twice, right? The Senate's in session.
Yeah.
They're in session right now. And twice, poor Mike, I don't know that he had his listening ears on. And look, I'm guilty of that as anybody. Sometimes you want to talk, not listen. I try to do both. I try to have a conversation, and I appreciate Mike, and I appreciate 5637 for educating me on my thin skin. Hello, Larry. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm great, Larry. I'm fabulous. Thank you.
Good. Had a question for you, or just a thought. I heard you mention a little bit ago about the fentanyl issue being reduced somewhat due to the fact that the ongoing issue at the border. But my question is, and you might have more knowledge on this than I do, but the three greatest preventable causes of death in the United States are tobacco, alcohol, and opioids. And I just wonder why nobody ever talks about that and why everybody's so bent on fentanyl. Just a question.
Because the alcohol and tobacco industries, and the pharmaceutical industry, so all three, tobacco, alcohol, and pharmaceuticals have a tremendous amount of lobbying power in Washington, D.C.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. So my deal is that if we are actually to solve what's going on in the United States, I think it's about being not only informed, but informed enough on both sides to make a decision. It's like, give me all of the facts and then let me make a decision and don't tell me what I need to
I'm down with that. I mean, I'm a libertarian in that regard. I believe that what you put in your own body is your own business. Hey, let me lay some truth bomb down to you before I go. You ready, Larry?
Sure, go for it.
Do you know what the number one cause of death is?
Actually, it's cancer, I think. Don't quote me on that.
That's not correct.
No, what is it then? I'm sorry.
Being born. It's true. It's undefeated.
Got it all coming.
We've all got it coming. We got tomorrow coming. That's Tuesday. Mark Levin's coming right now. Thank you for being with us. Until next time, hug your loved ones. So long, everybody.